Yuppie everybody, good evening. Guess who's back for Umineko? It is me. Oh boy, I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I am both not prepared and very prepared. And initially I actually wanted to start this this stream with me coming back for, you know, I was actually intending to start Umineko again with like a big reveal for something that I've been working on, but I didn't manage to finish it in time. So like, I'll save it for next time. Consider this stream today like my easy return to Umineko, and like the next stream for Umineko is like I'm in the game now. It's the true return. Hello, hi Nate, how you doing? Good to see you here. Hi Kristen, how you doing as well? Hell yeah, unpreparedness. Yes, exactly. That's me all the time. Good evening, Yukes, the long-awaited return to the island. Hi, Komaru, how you doing? I see we already have returning guests today. And 3 things before I actually start reading today for the answer arcs. Number 1. So for those who have been with me with Umineko since the start, especially in the last streams for the first game, like the question arcs, I know I said I would try to use the other mod for the answer arcs, but it was a bit too overly complicated for me to figure out how to install it, and I also wasn't aware if it's allowed to stream the other mod or not, and so I just picked the same one for convenience. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll pick it for episode 6. Let's see, but I'm not making any promises. 2. I'm going to be a bit sorry if today I'm a little bit out of it. Nothing bad happened. Everything's okay. It's just since like 10 minutes before I left work and up to now, there's like this stinging chemical-ish smell and air at the back of my throat, and I have no idea what it is. Probably my allergies got attacked, so my nose is like reacting. But I might get a bit distracted because it's a little bit of a strong feel. And third, I forgot. I forgot what the third thing is. Okay, but without further ado, I'm scared. Time to start the answer arcs, and I'm both excited and scared. I don't know if this is possible, but let's go. Episode 5, End of the Golden Witch. I already am afraid of the title. Good morning. Please enjoy this new game by a new game master at your leisure. Uh-oh. However, the game has already reached the climax, the culprit has been cornered, and there's nothing left to do but await the final checkmate. But for that very reason, there must be something for you to spot looking down on it from afar. The difficulty is fairly easy. What could possibly deceive you after all this time? Probably everything. Might just be a smell of your brain frying. Maybe! That could be possible. Oh boy. Oh, my mouse is also kinda glitchy. This story is very obviously fictional and fantastic in nature. Please don't believe that witches are real. This is Ryukishi, like, please don't believe that a beautiful MILF can appear in front of you. Back to my beloved! I'm so happy to see you again. I love we start episode 5 with Mirage Coordinator. Let's go. I'm banging. Oh, this is so cathartic. I love Beata so much.
家具だよ。そなたがどんなにわらわや魔法の存在を否定しようとも。ほらほらほらほらほらほら。
God. How is Beato's voice actor so good? This is like Oscar worthy, okay? Also, is the volume fine? Do let me know if it's a little bit quiet. Oh god, this is so this is just a compilation of Beato's best highlights. I love this. How to catch you up to speed for the answer arcs. Simply show you Beato's top 10 scenes from the question arcs. Okay, maybe top 4. Off to a good start. Hi, Beato. The best way you can start Umineko is with Beato. That lonely tone was the desolate sound of the wind blowing by. The glittering rose petals on these bushes were all golden. The cloud of gold butterflies that had once danced through this golden rose garden like fluttering rose petals was no longer anywhere to be seen. The master of the Golden Land is the Golden Witch Beatrice. She might be called inhumane and cruel, arrogant and outrageous, or perhaps naive and simple, and beautiful, amazing, perfect. That laugh of hers, which lost its grace more and more the longer it continued, could no longer be heard. The Golden Witch Beatrice sat like a doll, resting in a decked chair adorned as beautifully as the golden rose garden itself. Oh, she wasn't relaxing there. Her eyes were empty. Oh no. She didn't respond to any questions. Even so, she was not permitted to sleep. Beatrice sat like a doll. Oh. Her hair was down, and Virgilia was carefully tending to it with a comb. Oh, Virgilia, so good. The usual Beato would surely have spent this time complaining about this and that regarding her hairstyle. However, she made no response, showed no reaction. It really only looked like Virgilia was combing the golden hair of a large doll. There was a table alongside them, with chess pieces. On it sat a chessboard, along with a jumble of black and white pieces locked in a closely fought battle. However, this setup looked somehow different from normal chess. Maybe the game was similar, though not identical. And on the other side, sitting back in his chair as he contemplated his next move, was a young man. Ah yes, a local young man. Also, I think I'm gonna change something very quickly. I'm gonna put the donation goal over here. And I just realized I have a tablet on top, which I'm not supposed to on Umineko streams. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There we go. This should do. I thought it was going to be a bit disruptive, especially if I wanted to make clips later or something, so I'll just leave it down there for now. No, perhaps it wasn't his next move he contemplated. Every once in a while, he would change the positions of the pieces, reconsidering the situation after every change. Maybe he was reconstructing previous games, trying to discover the thought process behind the moves that had been made. In the past, Kinzo, the Ushiromiya family head, once said that learning chessboard arrangement was like taking a journey through the thoughts of the old master. Ushiromiya Batara was on a journey. A search for the thought process that had led to the Golden Witch to create this arrangement and make these moves. Batara took a black piece that should have been moved forward and returned it to its original place, sighing deeply. Batara's pieces were white. However, on this chessboard, a black encampment was on Batara's side. He was reconstructing that arrangement, trying to play Beato's role. Look at that face! Even Butler didn't expect that Beato would respond to that statement. Or rather, he was pretending to talk to himself, thinking there might be some chance of her responding. Oh, Beato, you don't look so good. Beato's eyes reflected nothing, and her mouth told nothing. Oh, but she did react. After begging him to kill her, the Golden Witch had become a corpse that had given up on life. Oh no! She wasn't sleeping. She couldn't step down from this game and was therefore forbidden sleep. So those words must have reached her ears. However, they probably hadn't reached her heart. The Golden Witch would not sneer at Battler's moves, nor would she praise them or belittle them. By now, Beatrice was nothing more than a living doll. Even so, she would glance at him every once in a while. It would be an empty glance, but a glance nonetheless. At least it's something. She's cute with her hair down. She is, but the way she's looking, I'm like, oh no, Beato, you don't look so good, please. I kind of want to see Beato with braided hair. You know, like Rapunzel and Tangled. Nothing. Yes, nothing, Kristen. There is nothing in her eyes. Nothing in that brain. No brain cells. And the soul is empty. Sometimes she would seem to make some sort of a gesture. Or even move her lips. However, her movements never managed to communicate anything to Battler. Oh, she changed her expression. I think I'm going to increase the volume just a little. There. No answer. Oh, look, there's a tiny fang! He has a tiny fang! I've never seen it before. Please laugh again. I miss you, Beato. Can you believe it? No, that shrill laugh of Beato's will never be heard again. No! I want to hear it again! However, even if she couldn't answer, his voice surely reached her. That was what Battler believed as he said those words. These were sorry. So he said it again. Well, help us, Virgilia. Virgilia answered in her disciplined stead. Up to this point, she had done her best to avoid speaking for Beato. After all, there was a chance that Beato would respond in some way, and Virgilia didn't want to be the one to steal that chance. So Battler was going to have to bear with this silence, until Beato herself answered. Virgilia could no longer bear to watch Battler like this. Besides, Battler also wanted to hear what Virgilia had to say. He believed that conversation would reach Beato's heart. Playing one-sided chess is pretty hard. Also, Beato plays like 5D chess, so it's not easy to just replicate Beato's 5D chess. That's impossible. At least not so easy. A serial murder following an epitaph. With that as a victory condition, I tried deconstructing the games from the witch's side. But I never ended up making the moves Beato did. In those games, I could find several incomprehensible moves that clearly worked against that victory condition. Kill me. Let me die. Oh. Man, I'm in pain.
そしてそれは俺にしかできない。
Beato's right ankle was bound with a heavy cold steel shackle. Oh no, she's still stuck. It wasn't tied to anything, so it didn't restrict her movement. However, it symbolized restriction. It was a visualization of the bonds that prevented her from leaving the game until she either won or lost. And the shackle was probably hurting her. The mercilessly cold shackle tormented her over and over inside her waking dream. She spoke! There's her voice. So there was never any sign of relief in her empty expression. Her eyelids would sometimes tremble like she was having a nightmare, and every once in a while she would let out a pained gasp. No. Unless I win, Beato will never be released from the curse that prevents her from sleeping peacefully.
良いのですか。第5のゲームはもう始まっているようですよ。
Wait, what? By whom?
興味ね。
Why should I take part in any game unless Beato is my opponent? If that's the only alternative, then it's a much better use of my time to reconstruct previous games while taking a journey in search of Beato's thought process. Who's doing the 5th game then? No! No! I do not want to be dragged into your squabbles with your girlfriend. Yes? Do not toss me into Umineko Sotsu now. I will not accept that.
依存だらけよ。ベアトは戦いを放棄して人事不正。ベアトの不先輩でゲームオーバーでしょ。
Many objections apparently. I have objections, especially with Ramda after watching Higurashi Sotsu.
確かにベアとはいろいろとあったんで、今はちょっぴりノックアウト気味。でも戦う気力を失ったわけじゃない。
You sure?
だからつまり私は介助役ってわけ。
She looks pretty dead inside, Ramda.
わかる?
Beato was lying down on a deck chair, almost as though she was sleeping. However, she wasn't sleeping, and she wasn't awake either. She was nothing more than a living doll that had given up on victory, who had asked Battler to perform her last rites, and who had surrendered everything. Of course, if everyone just sat around, the next game, the 5th game would never be made ready. So Ramba Delta had succeeded Beato as the next game master and announced that she prepared next game. I'm not very excited for this. I do not trust Lambda.
お前らどこの誰か知らねえが勝手に話を進めるんじゃねえ。
あんたに意見は求めてないわ。どうすんのベル？受けるの？受けないの？
She's like, I don't give a shit what you have to say, Batter. I'm asking my girlfriend.
いいわ。あんたが引き継ぎなさい。
なんだとふざけるなお前ら何者か知らねえが俺とベアトを無視して勝手に話を進めるんじゃねえ
Oh, but they are ignoring you.
落ち着きなさいよ。確かにプレイヤーが変われば察しても変わる。あんたにとっては戸惑うことも多いかもしれないけど、それでも大きなヒントになりうるでしょ。
知らねえよ勝手なこと言って仕切ってんじゃね
えベアとのゲームを4つも繰り返して何もわからないんでしょ。
おー、shit!
ならプレイヤーが変わるのは大きなヒントになると思うけれど。
I love how Burn is subtly, like indirectly, passive-aggressively saying to Battler, well, you've played against Beato 4 times now and you still haven't figured out shit, you dumb fuck.
大きなお世話だこれはベアトが用意し、俺を対戦相手に指定した俺たちのゲームだ
Incompetent and ram. Indeed. Also, hi Gotex, how you doing?
どこから湧いてきたのかもしれないお前らにかき回されるのはごめんだ
なら、ベアトを起こして次の準備をさせて。
You know what hole they crawled out of, Battler? It's called Higurashi Sotsu.
ベアトはしばらく起きねえよ それに新しいゲームなんて必要ね。あいつがこれまでに出題してきた4つのゲームの譜面だけで十分だ。仮に第5のゲームがあるとしても、それはベアトが出題し、俺に挑むものだけで十分だ。
The fifth time won't be different, stupid. Yep, that's basically the attitude that is standard towards Battler. Doing fine, figured I'd tune in to see things escalate. Oh,
お前らには何の関係もない。
I am very scared. I know how Ryukishi is as a writer when he's like in full charge. So, I'm nervous. Battler couldn't hide his irritation at two witches called Ramba Delta and Bernkastel, who had shown up well after the game start, who were now trying to take charge on their own. It looked like these witches were of an even higher rank than Beato. So high, in fact, that even Beato's teacher Virgilia couldn't even come close. Battler had the feeling he'd seen these two several times before. However, this was the first time he'd known their names and spoken to them directly. I do appreciate Lambda's teeth, though.
だから私が次のゲームを用意するわけ。私たちはね、いつ正気を取り戻すかもわからないベアトにいつまでも付き合ってられるほど気が長くないの。ね、ベルン？
退屈はごめんなの。イライラするほどに。
Boredom is annoying, I know.
お前が退屈がろうが、俺たちは知ったことじゃねえ。
まあまあ、このパーフェクトなラムダデルタ様に任せなさい。私がゲームマスターを引き継ぐ。
The perfect Lambda Delta.
大丈夫よ。あんまり絶対完璧にはプレイしないわよ。
That doesn't assure me.
ベアトっぽく、わけのわかんないフェイクや尻尾、ボーナスヒントをいっぱい用意してあげる。ベアトの世界をより理解するための大きなヒントにしてあげるわよ。
Letting my voiceless emotions explode, I slammed the table hard. The two witches didn't flinch at all. One grinned, the other looked indifferent, as though nothing had happened. The two of them just stared at me silently, as though they were reproaching me.
何？
They are judging the... They are judging the head.
不満？あんたは私による第5のゲームを降りるっての？それって不先輩？
バトラは降りないわよ。もちろん第5のゲームにも参加するわ。
勝手に決めるんじゃねえ。お前らに俺は付き合わない。知ったことじゃない。
Well, you don't have a choice, though.
先輩ってことよね。このゲームは魔女側の勝ち。人間は屈服ってことでお開きでいいかしら。
降りるなら不先輩でゲーム終了だけどいいの？
Well, do you wanna lose?
たった一人残された妹が無限の世界のすべてでたどる不幸な境遇を確定させたいのならそれも選択よ。
Oh, yeah, Anje. Boy, I miss her too. When Berkanstal mentioned Anje, Battler's expression changed instantly.
てめえ、エンジェのことを気安く口にするんじゃねえ。
あなたにこの私、奇跡の魔女ベルンカステルが味方しているからこそ、エンジェにはひょっとしたら家族が帰ってくるかもしれない奇跡の余地が残されてるのよ。あなたが自らそれを捨てて、エンジェの無限の未来、すべてを不幸なものに確定するのもまた、私には一興だけれども。
I vaguely understood what she was saying. Until I win Beato's game, I'll remain trapped in this bizarre world. And if I abandon that victory, then most certainly, my parents and I will never return to Anje. For Anje's sake, even though I know the witches are toying with me, I must keep on fighting. Please, I need to see Anje again. I love her so much.
なに？その不満そうな顔。自分の妹をグズグズのひき肉にされた怒り、もう忘れちゃったの？
Are we going to... Are we really going to keep rubbing that wound?
ブチブチ。無数の焼けたペンチで引きちぎって、 細切れにしていくあの光景。
Ow.
今度はちゃんと真正面で見ないとダメ。
Bernkanstel pointed the palm of her right hand upwards. As she did, the pale light gathered there, and some kind of blue glowing crystal appeared there. A scene was reflected on its sharp surface. Oh, is that what I think it is? But it wasn't a scene that surrounded them now. If you look deep into that crystal, that fragment, yes, then you would probably learn what was reflected on there. Yeah, we got the fragments! If you stared at it, then you'd surely see the end Anje finally reached, after waiting 12 years and giving up everything for the sake of her beloved brother. The scene of her death throes, as her entire body was torn to bits while she still lived. Oh no, you're showing it?! Without thinking, he grabbed at her collar, but as soon as he touched that which made up her form, it disappeared like foam on the waves. No touchy touchy. Then as naturally as though she'd been there from the beginning. Bernkanstel was leaning against a distant wall. Look at that cat face! That's the first time I see Beato smile, Bern smiling at all. Yep, we're both, everybody's getting trolled by these two little lesbians. Butler's fist shook with anger. But even if she swung them down, he wouldn't be able to hit Bernkanstel. The switch was like a phantom, or a cat who wouldn't even let someone pet her if she didn't wish for it. Sounds accurate. And she was telling the truth. For Anje's sake, I can step down from this fight, even if these unpleasant witches hijack the game board.
さすがベルン、脅し方もえぐいわね。そういうことよ、バトラー。あんたにはゲームを降りることなんて許されてないの。あんたもベアとも私たちの退屈を紛らわせるゲーム版の駒でしかない。
Man, that sucks.
あんたのそのわけのわかんない怒りやイラつきさえも私たちには退屈を紛らわす最高のお菓子。まあ、その程度の怒りじゃ駄菓子程度だけどね。
30円で2枚入ってるカレー味のポテトせんべい程度ね。
Curry flavored potato wafers. Are you talking about chips? Oh, okay, I see. Bern has joined the trolling group.
魔女とも。
エンジェのためにも戦いなさい。そしてベアトのためにもでしょ。
In a way that was admonishing, or perhaps babying, like the headache you get after eating something too sweet. Bernkanstel tormented Battler and smiled, like after 4 episodes. By now, the host of this tea party, Beato, was absent. The guest witches were already making themselves at home.
どうすんの？後ろ宮バトラー、運命に屈しちゃう？降りちゃいなさいよ。魔女の駒にして遊ばれるなんてもうごめんなんでしょ？ベルンの駒は辛いわよ。
Welp.
きっとあんたもエンジェみたいに使い捨てにされるわよ。
あなたに降りる選択肢は与えてない。妹の未来のために戦い続けるの。私は味方よ。
Are you? Are you really?
その未来にたどり着けるよう、あなたが勝利するまでサポートするわ。
I don't trust you, though.
私が退屈するまで永遠に。
I can't let her provocation and cajolery rile me up. What the hell is that word? Cajolery rile me up. These witches know I get mad easily, and they're trying to take advantage of that. Battler withstood it all and finally relaxed his clenched fists.
第5のゲームとやらが始めたいなら勝手にやればいい。好 きにしろ。
好きにするわよ。
I will do whatever I want with my girlfriend.
あれれ、どこ行くのよ。
Even though Batter acknowledged this fifth game, he turned his back on them, much to Lamp the Delta's surprise.
お前がベアトの代役を務めるってんなら、そこのベルーンカステルとかいう魔女が俺の代役を務めるのも勝手だろ。
道理ね。そうじゃないと不先輩になってしまう。
She's like, okay, fine, leave.
私が作る渾身のエピソード5をあんた無視するっての？
Yes.
失礼しちゃう、失礼しちゃう。
This episode
バト
5.
ラはしばらく休憩するそうよ。それまでの間、私がプレイヤーの代役を務める。それでどう？バトラ。
そうしやがれ。
I feel like this is a terrible idea.
なに、ラムダ。間抜けなバトラじゃなくて、私がプレイヤーだと遊んでくれないの？
そんなわけないわ。ベルンと一緒に遊べて嬉しいわよ。さあさあ、遊びましょう遊びましょう。
At least the girlfriends
ラ
get
ム
to
ダ
hang
デ
out.
ルタ様の超ハイパーでキュートに可愛いエピソード5を一緒に遊びましょうよ。
What's hyper and cute to you, though?
一応、ベアトの作った世界なのよ。世界観ぶち壊しにしてないでしょうね。
She's going to desecrate it. I totally believe
大丈
that.
夫だってば。私そういうのの空気は読める方なのよ。
Are you?
ちゃんとベアトっぽい世界観でもっと面白い物語に仕上げてみせたわ。バトラも休憩終わったら早く戻ってくるのよ。見逃すともったいないわよ。ベアトの秘密に迫れるようなボーナスヒントをたっぷり用意してるんだから。
So, what you're telling me is that Lambda took over Beato and she's technically writing fanfiction. So technically episode 5 is a fanfiction.
と見せかけてミスリード満載でますますに煙に巻く気なんだけどね。ちょっとこらバトラ、魔女の話聞いてんの？
Well, he's tired. Without answering, Bator disappeared into the darkness. After shrugging and cackling, the witches immediately started playing with the game board they had stolen from Beato. Mommy said it's my turn on the chessboard! Oh, we're back to
あの
Beato,
魔女
huh?
どもにベアトのゲームは理解できるのか？
I don't think so, no.
同じゲーム版を使う以上、この子にできないことはできません。しかし、この子がやらないことはやれます。
Incorrect. She can't be a fanfic writer without several months of writer's block. I wonder how many months episode 4 and 5 were distanced from each other. What if it took like a year?
やらないこととは何だ？
Oh no. So are you meaning to tell me Lambda is going to go full unfiltered? I'm
チェ
scared.
スの道具はチェスで遊ぶために存在します。
Yes, okay.
それを使ってトランプをすることはできない。しかしチェスの駒を相手に投げつけてぶつけたり、チェス盤に落書きしてみたり、そういう行為をすることも不可能ではありません。しかしそれはチェスに対する冒涜だから。
Oh, Lambda's going to desecrate everything, huh? I'll admit that I haven't even been here for all the parts, so I've missed quite a bit of context. I have finished like the first like half of Umineko, like the question arcs. I have like all the VODs on YouTube. But if you're ever curious about reading Umineko, I can recommend the manga if the visual novel is too long. Because I did take... Like, Umineko is said to take like 100+ hours to complete. But the manga, obviously, is a more condensed experience. I definitely recommend Umineko. It's good. It's really fucking good. I would say the visual novel is like the authentic experience because you get the voice acting and the music if you use like the same mod I'm using right now. But especially the music. But if it's too long, then I can recommend the manga instead. But not the anime. The anime is trash. That definitely wouldn't be chess anymore. Beato's eyes seemed to cloud slightly with sadness.
ふざけやがって。これは俺とベアトのゲームだ。他の誰にも冒涜はさせない。
Hello, Yuppie. Hi, HKR. How are you doing? It's my husband. It's him. Hello, sir. It's my husband. At that time, gold butterflies gathered and Ronove appeared, holding a tea set with black tea. Please give me.
紅茶のおかわりはいかがですか?
Yes, I would. Get out of the way, Batter! I want that tea!
かしこまりました。いかがですか? お嬢様の思考を探る旅は
I wish I was kidding, but my face actually got a little bit red.
さっぱりだが楽しんでるぜ。
しかしよろしいのですか? こちらでくつろがれていても。
あの魔女どもが勝手に進めてるゲームのことか。
ええ、先ほど紅茶をお届けに伺った時にはもう第一の番の殺人が起こり。
What?
もうじきその次の殺人も起こりそうな気配。
What the fuck? We skipped all that already? When Beata and I were playing, the game would be paused whenever someone left their seats. However, those switches wouldn't pause that game just because I wasn't around.
ロノウェは奴らのゲームを見たのか?
I'm good. Good to hear that you're good, but I'm glad to be back in ROKKENJIMA.
一部ではございますが。
どうだった?
Ronove lifted the pot high with an elegant gesture as he poured the black tea. After finishing that, he finally spoke. He gave us his impressions of it. Oh god, the elegant gesture.
愛がありませんな。
No love?
愛ってなんだ?
これは失礼。女性風に申し上げるとです。男性風に申し上げるならば
As a man.
義理が通らぬと申しましょうか。
I see. I understood what those words meant. When I met Virgilia's eyes, she shook her head slightly and stared at the floor.
上辺は大変よくお嬢様のゲームに似せていると思います。しかし根本が大きく異なっています。
それはベアとのゲームのルールに反することなのか?
いいえ、反しません。ラムダデルタ様はお嬢様のゲームのルールを実によく理解なされております。しかし
However, do tell. She knows the rules but desecrates with everything else, huh? Batter stood up. There was no need to make Ronove say anymore. But I want to hear him talk more.
ロノウェ、すまない。せっかく入れてもらったけど、紅茶はいらねえぜ。
Good, then give it to me. Give.
やはり参られますか?
I will drink it.
ああ。俺たちのゲームに部外者はいらない。
Hacking the way he looked like, yeah. These guys weren't even here in the beginning. Because I've been loafing about, crazy and crazier witches have been introduced. And now they've hijacked this game between me and Beatrice.
取り返さねえとな。ベアとのゲーム版は今は俺が預かってるはずなんだ。その俺がここでぼんやりしてるわけにはいかない。
ありがとう。その言葉をこの子に聞かせてやりたかった。
Yes.
きっと聞こえていますよ。お嬢様はそれにお返事することができないだけです。
Oh. Beato lay there silently like a living doll with dull eyes. The game board she had created herself had been hijacked by incomprehensible people and was being turned into a mess. If I was designated to be her opponent, then Beato must have created this game for me. I've got to take it back. I mean, is it a wonder that she designed the game for you, Battler? Whatever this sin of yours that you committed, that was hinted in the last episode, which I have a hunch what it might be, and I'm scared. Of course, Beato didn't respond in any way. That's right. If she can't respond, then I have to protect it in her place. Yes, please take care of her. Can I be taken care of too?
いってらっしゃい、バトラ君。そしてどうかこの子のいないゲームにてこの子の何かを見つけてあげてください。
Yes.
もしそれを見つけることができた、たとえこの子が不在であっても、あなたはこの子と戦ってくれたことになる。
そうだよな。ああ、全然ダメだぜ。
Oh, there it is, the line drop.
俺は何をやってるんだ。
Let's go. Let's fucking go and take it back.
魔女ども、待たせたな。俺の休憩は終わりだぜ。
When he faced the jet black heavens and yelled this, the whole world shattered as though it were made out of thin glass. Then, as though it had been that way since the beginning, it transformed into that smoking room where Batter had fought Beato so many times, and which the two witches had now hijacked.
なにあんた、今頃戻ってきたの？超遅すぎ。もうゲームは2日目どころか大詰めも大詰めよ。
バトラがいつまでも来ないから私が勝手に進めちゃったわ。
Oh, is this episode going to be short? Yeah, like you even waited for me in the first place.
ベルンはあんたよりずっと頭が冴えてて痛快だったわよね。
Oh, there's my cat.
うるせえ。プレイヤーは俺だ。代役の魔女どもは引っ込んでろ。
別に今から参加しても構わないけど、もう出番ないわよ。
Is it?
確かに。だってもうクライマックスもクライマックス。これで多分ベルンが詰めたゲームセットだもの。
なんだと。
Damn, burn is that quick?
最後の爪くらい見物しても。
そうね。おいでなさい、後ろ宮バトラー。もうほとんどおしまいだけど、私の作ったキュートでエレガントなゲームエピソード5 End of the Golden Witch.
Oh, thanks. Title draw. What? Oh, I have to read up? What the fuck? What? No! Okay, hold on. Oh, so I have to read the bios before we continue? Got it. Beatrice, the Golden Witch, and the Endless Witch. Beatrice who speaks on the behalf of the illusion of the witch. She claims that all the crimes on ROKKENJIMA were caused by the illusion of the witch. In the 5th game, she clashes with Berncanstel, who denies this illusion. Because she herself is nothing more than a piece, and the higher plane version of her has stepped down as game master, she isn't in a position where she can know the truth of the 5th game. This puts her in a different position than the one she held in the games before now. Berncanstel, the Witch of Miracles, as known as the witch who knows that miracles don't occur. In the 5th game, she participates as a player in opposition to Beato. However, from the very beginning, her aim has been to deny the illusion of the witch. Her only goal is to crush Beato and her world as a way to stave off boredom. Though she does deny the illusion of the witch, she is no ally of Batter's. Virgilia, a now retired Endless Witch and Beatrice's master. She used the endless magic properly and devoted her life to the smiles and happiness of many people. She taught Beatrice the endless magic, believing that Beatrice would also devote herself to the people, and retired. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point to this as source of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. Hold on, I feel like the microphone isn't really working properly. Hello? Okay. Alright, now it's properly set. Okay. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point to this as the source of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. Ronove. My husband. One of the 72 great demons works for a master in exchange for various forms of compensation. Can we discuss a contract? I can provide various sources of compensation. He currently has a contract with Beatrice as her butler head furniture. He's become proficient at housekeeping after serving in many households, so his ability as a butler is very high. In the high society of witches, employing him has become a kind of status symbol. Furthermore, the cookies he bakes are superb, and the witches will often form a line demanding them, "Please, I am in that line, give me cookies." He must possess tremendous magical power, but since he always stays out of the spotlight, to further boost his master's reputation, his combat capabilities are unknown. I've always seen like a little bit of it in episode 4, and it nearly ended me on the spot. Gap, also a good one. One of the 72 great demons, also Beatrice's friend. When a magician demands it, she grants the ability of instantaneous movement. She uses this extraordinary power for playing pranks mostly. Her specialty is hiding keys and bags during busy mornings. However, in the context of closed room mysteries, this power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike a finishing blow. Her queen's strikes are likely to pierce any and all detectives, forcing them to surrender. Detectives? The Seven Sisters of Purgatory. High quality furniture created by Beatrice. Mammon is quickly to grab whatever she wants, and without any concern for her sisters. Her motto is monopolize through greed, which means she's usually the main cause of arguments between the sisters. However, she's also the most honest about her own feelings, and the one most likely to try and please the opposite sex. Oh, okay. I wouldn't have guessed with that outfit. She may be greedy, but she's a hard worker who will stop at nothing to capture her target's affection for all eternity. Ushiromiya Butler, the man designated to be Beato's opponent in the first 4 games. In the 5th game, he is displayed that Ramba Delta has taken over as Game Master, so he does not participate as a player. Ramba Delta, in the place of Beato, who stepped down from the position of Game Master in the 4th game, Ramba Delta serves as a new Game Master in the 5th game. Therefore, it is expected that, while the 5th game may quite be similar to the previous ones, there will be differences. She hates boredom as much as Burn can tell, and depending on the situation, she may become either an enemy or an ally to Beato or Burn. Okay, let me go back to the humans, which I accidentally skipped. Kenzo. The aged head of the Ushiromiya family, even though it has already been announced— I just realized Marty's dead! Sorry. Even though it has already been announced that he had just a few months to live, he is brimming with energy, though he amassed a vast fortune in the past. He never made any announcement regarding the inheritance, which worries his children. He is strongly influenced by the West and is a rabid fan of the occult. His study is packed with mysterious grimoires. Kraus, Kinzo's first child. As the oldest of the 4 siblings, he leads the family conference. However, the other siblings think he is trying to get all the inheritance for himself, and this further strains the tension between them. He is a real estate investor and has put all of the money in the development of a resort. However, his results have been harshly criticized. Kraus's wife, she manages the household of the Ushiromiya head family in place of her husband. I love Natsuhi, by the way, who takes little interest in such matters. She was in charge of all the preparations and arrangement for this family conference. She possesses a strong sense of responsibility and a great deal of pride. However, neither her husband nor his siblings understand her very well, so her position is far from enviable. I love her so much. She deserves better. Ushiromiya Jessica. Oh no, her corpse was found in a cousin's room on the 2nd floor of the guest house. Direct cause of death is unknown, but her neck was sliced open with a sharp blade. The wound was deep enough to that anyone could easily confirm her death with absolute certainty. Attending physician Nanjo. Kinzo's attending physician and a longtime friend. He once ran a hospital in Nijima, but he turns it over to his son and enjoys his old age in peace. Now that Kinzo's constant suspicion has reached extraordinary heights, Nanjo is one of the very few people he trusts. Thanks to Nancho's big-hearted nature, he has been able to continue his friendship with Kinzo despite the latter's tendency to fly into a rage at the slightest provocation. I'm reading all the bios just because it feels like it's kind of necessary before I start. Secondly, since we have some people here who haven't caught up to Umineko as much or are a bit out of context, I feel like the bios can help a little bit give context, just a little. For the characters at least. Ushinomiya Eva, Kinzo's second child, also one of my favorites. She is hostile towards her brother Kraus and opposes him whenever she can. From issues dealing with the family fortune to the question of who will succeed the family headship. Normally she would have lost her place in the Ushinomiya family register upon her marriage, but she managed to forcibly overcome this by having her husband take her family name. Oh no, Hideyoshi's dead. Ushinomiya Hideyoshi. His corpse was found in a guest room on the first floor of the mansion. A demon stake had pierced through his back, the tip of it reached as far as his lungs. Because he was lying face down on the bed, it is unthinkable that this was a suicide. Oh, George is dead too! They killed all the kids! Except Battler? Fuck. Ushinomiya George. His corpse was found in a cousin's room on the second floor of the guest house. The direct cause of death is unknown, but his neck was sliced open by a sharp blade. The wound was deep enough for anyone who could easily confirm his death with absolute certainty. Okay, so same as Jessica. Ushinomiya Rudolph, Kinzo's third child. Along with his sister Eva, he intends to make his voice heard during the family conference to prevent their oldest sibling Kraus from keeping all their family's wealth for himself. His former wife Asumu passed away 6 years ago, and he married his current wife Kirie shortly after that. Hide the kids! Oh wait, we only have one left. Well, if we discount Shannon and Kanon, but okay. Ushinomiya Kirie, Rudolph's second wife. Kirie, my beloved, I love her very much. She's the best wife in this family. Moving on. She had already worked alongside him for some time before the death of his first wife, at which time she openly took the position of his wife. She has served as Rudolph's right hand in several shady pieces of business, guiding them to success. She's quick thinking and well trusted by her husband. And I love her very much. Ushinomiya Battler, the son of Rudolph and his first wife Asumu, not to be mistaken by the Battler bio that I just read before. For those who don't know, basically all the characters in this sheet are the people that are in the game, but are not the same people outside the game. So like with Lambda and the other witches. So basically think of them as separate people. Okay, the son of Rudolph and his first wife Asumu, parentheses, when his wife married a second wife shortly after Asumu's death, Battler rebelled and went to live with his grandparents on his mother's side. However, both of these grandparents passed away, and he had now returned to the Ushinomiya family after 6 years. The Sanwi conference is a chance for him to renew his friendship with his cousins after a 6-year gap. Genji's dead. Oh no. His corpse was found in the servant waiting room on the first floor of the mansion. The direct cause of death is unknown, but his neck was sliced open by a sharp blade. Again, like Jessica and George. Whoa, deep enough to death was that. Okay, same. Rosa. Partially don't miss her. Sorry. Her corpse was found in a cousin's room on the second floor of the guest house. The direct cause of death is unknown, but her neck was okay, same. Maria. No, Mario, they took my baby! Not Maria! I love Maria so much. I wanted to see her so bad. But not like this. Her corpse was found in the cousin's room on the second floor of the guest house. Oh, they sliced her neck. No! No, Maria! That's rough. Servant Shannon, a young but inexperienced servant. She is normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. Furthermore, Shannon is nothing more than a pseudonym that she uses when on duty, not her real name. Her real name has been said in previous episodes. It's Sayo. Like, one of them is probably Sayo. I don't know if she has, like, a first name and a second name. But we do know that Sayo is, like, her real name. And I love Shannon very much, just so you know. She's also one of my favorites. Umineko gang, let's go! Hi, Observer, how you doing? Servant Kanon, a young servant. He has an interesting fashion sense. He performs his duties silently and diligently, but is not so highly regarded as a servant due to his unsociable nature. Because he's an edgelord. There are multiple other servants with the on character and their pseudonyms. He and Shannon just happen to be the ones on duty that day. Servant Koda, a servant hired as a cook. He has a button. He hasn't served his family long, but through his earlier jobs and previous experience, he has cultivated a talent for entertaining guests. Because of this, he is very highly regarded as a servant, with his massive button. Servant Kumasawa, a very good one, by the way. I love her. This elderly woman is a part-timer who, though she has quit her job several times along the way, Queen, has served the family for a great many years in total. Again, Queen. She is crafty and more than competent when it comes to performing her duties, but because of her chattiness and love of rumors, she is not highly regarded as a servant. Bad taste. She's a perfect servant. The best. Okay. Exit, I guess? The second day, October 5th, 1986. Okay, so we skipped the first Twilight and like the intro altogether. So we're like being plunged into the Umineko narrative like midway through. Normally what we get is like, for those who don't know, we get the whole intro, a slice of life kind of segment, conflict building. Then we get the first night where people die. Then we get to like the murder mystery cracking, and the second night is like normally where more people die. And finally we get to like until the last one remains, or until the few remaining people like join Beato or something. So we're basically being tossed right into the middle of the story as we speak. Right now, no humans exist on this island except for those in this parlor. And with one exception, it has been shown that none of them have committed murder. And the culprit is among these people.
Oi, oi. となると決定的じゃねえか。
魔女が犯人で
Oh, this is new sprite for Key. I like that we have new sprites for everybody. Oh no, no!
あんたがジョージを主人を殺したの
Leave Natsuhi alone!
どうしてよどうして私は殺していません私は何も
In a panic and with a voice that was far from calm, in a manner that was, to put it coldly, unsightly, Natsuhi denied the suspicion placed upon her. Oh no. However, there was no longer any way around it. She stood up, brushed back her long hair, pointed at Natsuhi and said it one more time. Who? What? Who are you? Wait, I've seen you before. I've seen you in fan art. Who are you? I've seen you, but who are you? And why are you here? And what's this voice? Oh! We get the opening! And just like that, Best Girl makes her appearance. Hi Guri, how you doing? Also, same reaction, Kristen. I'm like, also, what? Okay, so is this the character that everyone has been waiting for me to meet? This opening rocks, by the way. I like that this opening has a focus on Natsuhi. I love this. I've been wanting to see more of Natsuhi for a long time now. Why is Kinzo in the background? I realized that Kinzo was faintly in the background. Why is he there? Kinzo, what the fuck? Fucking Kinzo, I swear to God. This man, impossible. Also, this opening is banger. Absolutely love it. I like it more than the first one even. One of them. Ah, okay. So I'm curious what other characters there are that you want me to meet. I know there's one coming. Hold on. I know there's one more coming, which I know only by virtue of Higurashi Sotsu. So I know of a certain other Ieua. That's not her real name, but I know there's a character who's basically the same as her, like based off her. I don't know when she appears, what her role is, but I just know she exists. Fun fact, by the way, about Ieua from Higurashi Sotsu. For me, the name was the funniest shit on earth because in Portuguese, when you put the letters E, U, and A, that's the short form for how Portuguese people say Estados Unidos da América, which means United States of America. So basically every time I've heard the name EUA, I was like, oh yeah, United States of America is helping Satoko commit crimes. As she knocked loudly and repeatedly, Natsuhi yelled. Shortly after, there was a heavy clunking sound, and the sound of the door to Kinzo's study unlocking could be heard. Oh? What's this? As the door opened, a heavily sweet, venomous odor flowed out. Natsuhi was always ashamed of how she was automatically grimaced at that, even though she knew she thought it rude to the family head. Oh! Kraus was waiting for her inside the study. Kraus? Natsuhi flew into his arms. Why is Kraus here? Oh, he's dead? With an uncertain gait, Natsuhi walked towards the center of the study, supported by Kraus. Oh, there's wait, I thought he was dead! Their dignified bed fitting for the Ushinomiya family head could be seen, along with Nanjo, Genji, and Kumasawa.
Nanjo-sensei.
Oh, hold on. Did we, like, go back in time? After sighing deeply, Nanjo left the side of the bed. On the bed, Kinzo could be seen lying down, asleep. Like, fuck, he's dead. He didn't deserve to die peacefully, by the way. She's not like her actual father, by the way, for those asking. Sobbing, Natsuhi slumped over the chest of that man who had fallen into sleep from which he could never awaken. Also, for further context for new people, Kinzo literally hates all of his relatives, but like, Natsuhi seems like one of the very few people he respects in this family, even though she is not like blood related to him or anything. Like, she's just married to one of his sons. Aw, poor Natsuhi. I feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for Kinzo dying, but I feel bad for Natsuhi. Natsuhi couldn't stop crying over the death of the man whom she had loved like a second father. Kumasawa rubbed Natsuhi's back, consoling her. Yeah, that's true, I forgot. Natsuhi cared about Kinzo a fair bunch. Kraus slumped into his late father's favorite chair. By sitting there, he might have been immersed in memories of his departed father, who sucked. Or perhaps he thought that by sitting there, he might be able to understand just a bit of the madness of Kinzo's later years, which he had never been able to comprehend before. And Nanjo, just as he had been once sat in Kinzo's chair, just as he had when Kinzo once sat in that chair contemplating a chess move, turned his back and looked down over the outside world through a crack in the curtains.
同じ死ぬならせめて寝込んで1年後に死亡とか。もう少ししかるべき準備の猶予期間を設けてから死んで欲しかったのに。
Oh, so you're worried about the money.
それは逆だ。最後の瞬間までお元気だったことを喜ぶべきです。
Carl's like, I don't give a fuck, I want the money.
建前上はそうなるがね。
Nanjo understood that as well. Ushinomiya Kinzo, who had risen like a comet and glittered like a supernova in the post-war business world, had died. His funeral would probably be of a fantastic scale. And it would also be the ceremony marking Krause's inheritance of the headship. He would have to arrange everything as the host of the event, carry out funeral diplomacies perfectly, and make it clear to all the Ushinomiya family still had enormous influence in the political and financial spheres. Even though you guys are all in financial trouble and really need a lot of money right now, I still remember how the text was written in all caps in episode 1. As Nanjo watched Krause, he was vividly reminded of the time when Kinzo had been suddenly selected as the Ushinomiya family head. And Kinzo had been lost and confused. In this way, he was able to understand Krause's distress and sympathize with it. Natsuhi's sobs eventually subsided. Watching this and leaving Kumasawa to take care for Natsuhi as a fellow woman, Genji returned to where Krause was. And as though asking what should be done, Genji lowered his head slightly.
手続き等は私と源氏さんでやろう。クラウスさんはまずは親戚の方々に連絡した方がいいでしょうな。
Krause put his hands over his eyes, didn't respond. Perhaps even though he had known this day would come, Krause really couldn't hide his shock at how suddenly it had reached them.
私と南條先生にお任せを。旦那様はまずは奥様とご相談いただくのが良いかと思います。
Please comfort your wife. Maybe she heard that, or maybe it was a coincidence. As though responding to Genji's words, Natsuhi came over. Her eyes were red from crying so much, but she apparently understood the heavy responsibility that had been imposed on them even better than Krause did.
これからはあなたが栄光ある後宮家の当主です。お父様の後を立派に継いだことを内外に示しましょう。この夏日、あなたの妻として棺を並べる日までお仕えする覚悟です。
Man, Natsuhi is just great. Don't say something stupid to her. Trying to encourage her husband, who was overcome with shock, Natsuhi lent him some reassuring words. And Krause finally lowered the hands that he had been covering his face. He looked up at the ceiling with a blank expression and let out a deep, deep sigh.
どうかしっかりお父様の残したものを食い荒らそうと目論む輩が大勢いるのですよ。私たちはお父様の名誉と財産を守るために戦わなければなります。それが後宮家当主の最初の仕事ですよ。
分かってる。分かっていると。
But I don't think he's very on board.
南條先生と源氏はお役所や葬儀業者への手配をお願いします。特に源氏、お父様の葬儀にふさわしいものとなるよう特に手配を頼みますよ。
かしこまりました。
それから南條先生、お父様は病院でお亡くなりになったわけではないので、
So they have to incinerate him at home.
場合によっては解剖が入るかもしれませんな。
なんとかなりませんか。亡くなったとはいえお父様の大切なお体です。傷をつけるなど耐えられることではありません。
気持ちはわかる。だがそういうところをきっちりすることも大切だ。
Okay.
それにこう言ってはなんだが難しい親族の方々が多いんじゃないかね。
Several of the relatives, huh? Who knew how those vultures after the inheritance might try to find fault with them? They might claim to have found some reason to suspect the cause of death, using that as a point of contention to start some trouble. Oh yeah. Right now it was important not only to pay Kinzo's remains the respect they were due, but also to solidify the position of the new family head Krause.
わかりました。 必要最小限にお願いします。間違ってもお父様の威厳が損なわれるようなお姿にしないように。
それは大丈夫だ。安心しなさい。とにかく金蔵さんのことはわしらに任せて、これからが大変なんだから。
分かっています。あなたもどうかしっかり。
Kraus was still staring blankly at the ceiling with a befuddled expression on his face. She understood the shock and heavy responsibility he bore. Natsuhi understood her husband's feelings as much as anyone. And thus she floats up into the ceiling. Kraus didn't respond. Natsuhi, thinking him to be just a bit unreliable at the moment, decided she must offer her support. Seeing her husband like this actually spurred Natsuhi to action, and a resolute expression rose to her face.
これから忙しくなります。今できることを始めましょう。夫はきっとお父様と二人きりで話したいこともあると思います。私たちは一度ここを退出しましょう。
そうでございますね。その時間はきっと今しか取れないでしょうから。
I can't imagine Kraus looking up at Kinzo and being like, "Thank fuck you're dead." Being in charge of a funeral is tiring work. There's no time to shed tears. If Kraus were ever to given time to cry for his dead father, that time would have to be now. Everyone agreed with Kumasawa's words. Even so, Kraus continued to blankly gaze up at the ceiling and didn't respond in any way. Natsuhi urged the servants to go.
私はジェシカにも話してきます。今やあの子が次期当主です。それにふさわしい自覚を持つようによく言い聞かせなくては。
Oh, the wind, bad sign.
待て。
Fuck. As they each started to make their way out of the study, Kraus finally spoke. This is bad news. They stopped walking.
Hi.
Whenever this wind effect comes on, I know some shit's about to happen.
待て。
Hi.
Hadn't she already stopped walking, just like her husband had asked? But despite that, he told her once again to wait. From those slightly weak words, Natsuhi understood that he'd probably stopped her because he wanted her to be by his side.
お前たちは下へ。私は夫と言います。何かあったらここに電話するように。
かしこまりました。だから待てと言っている。
What's happening? Is this what I think is going to happen? I know these are the answer arcs, so some answers are going to be told to me about some stuff from the question arcs. When Kraus suddenly raised his voice, everyone jumped and turned around. Unable to comprehend what she had done to spark her husband's wrath, Natsuhi ran up to him.
どうしましたあなた。私は何か失礼なことを口にしてしまいましたか。だったらお許しを。
いや、違う。そうじゃない。そうじゃない。
Fucking Natsuhi is too good, I swear.
時間をくれ。
ええ、分かっています。心を整理するためにも必要です。私たちはその時間をあなたにあげようと、ここから静かに出ていくだけですよ。
Kraus, the money, I need the money. Yep.
だからそれを待てというのだ。いいか、誰もその場から動くな。一歩たりともだ。疲れたなら椅子にでもソファーにでも好きに座ればいい。
Okay.
だから何も喋らずに静かに黙って何もせずにいろ。
Those unreasonable words felt like a glimpse of how Kinzo used to be. Natsuhi couldn't hide her slight surprise at this behavior, which almost made it seem as though Kinzo had possessed her husband. Natsuhi told the servants to wait for the time being. She ordered them to sit on a sofa, a short distance off, approach her husband, and spoke to him in a small voice.
あなたがお命じになれば、夏日はいくらでも待ちます。とどまります。ですからどうか。お気を沈められてください。
Hold up.
There. 違う。そうではないのだ。そうではないのだ。
Was it really blood, or was he actually being possessed? Kraus's disorderly style of speech strongly resembled Kinzo's. As she watched this, Natsuhi became certain that Kraus was Kinzo's son after all, and that he was a true successor, more suitable than any other person. Klaus stood up and headed towards the window, trying to lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa by even a small amount. Natsuhi realized that he must have something secret to discuss. Oh no, I feel like I know where this is going.
Hi, あなた、何事ですか?
親父に死なれては
Yes?
まずいのだ。
Why?
しかし、もうお亡くなりになりました。そういうわけには参りません。
そうじゃない。今はまずいんだ。
Why?
どういうことですか?
親父の財産を担保にしている。
Oh.
相続問題になれば隠しをせない。
Oh. Whoops.
担保ですか? いかほど?
メロディーランドの時、近藤君を応援したことがあったと。
Oh, the cat's out of the bag.
あの方とは縁を切れと申し上げたじゃありませんか。
Why don't you listen to your wife, you dipshit?
私には断ったと言ったはず。どうして?
男の義理というものがある。断れなかった。
Fucking... Klaus claimed to hold the honor as a virtue. However, Natsuhi knew that he must often use this as an excuse for when he reluctantly went along with some deal that he just couldn't refuse.
お金に余裕があるならいざ知れず。この島のリゾート計画でかなりの借金をされたのではありませんでしたか?
ああ、したさ。
Uh-oh.
工房で恩人に世話になったのだ。それらを返済するためにも座しているわけにはいかない。返済するためには金がいる。金を生むためには金がいる。
You need money to make
金がな
money.
ければ始まらない。この島の計画だって企画会社がおかしなことにならなければ順調だったのだ。
Oh boy. You should have just let Nazis handle everything.
都の役人とも連携は取れていた。東京都の新しい観光スポットになると知事の太鼓判ももらえていた。私の根回しは完璧だったのだ。たまたま巡り合わせとタイミングが悪かった。ちょっとした運のすれ違い。
Sure.
事故みたいなものだった。
Oh my god. Fucking Kraus.
あれは事故なんかではありません。詐欺です。あなたは騙されたのです。初めから彼らはこの島のリゾート計画など描けていなかったのです。
そんなことはないぞ。土方君のビジョンは先見性にあふれていた。世界と未来に目を向けた広大な視野は夢が広がる。世界に未来に。
Oh boy.
一緒に聞いていただろう。
ええ、聞いていました。そしてお帰りになられた後に申し上げたはずです。あの方はうさんくさい。語るのは未来ばかりで地に足がついていない。これ以上お付き合いしてはならないと。
土方君は立派な好青年だ。彼の生き様からは学ぶことも多いぞ。
Oh boy.
I
love that Kraus is like, Natsuhi, come here, I have to speak to you in private and quietly, and now they're like fighting and the servants are like in the other side of the room like, everything alright over there?
彼のことを侮辱することは許さんぞ。
あなたは同じことを月旅行の時にもおっしゃいました。
Moonter! Is Kraus really this stupid?
先見性がある、未来がある、夢があると連呼され、その挙句はいかがでしたか？荒唐無稽な話だったと、あなた自らがお認めになったではありませんか。
Okay, so all the memes about Kraus investing in NFTs and like driving the family to bankruptcy because of it, totally true. I finally understand now.
私はNASA の高官とか名乗るおかしな男が現れた頃からこれは絶対におかしいと確信しておりました。
1987 literally.
あの外国人が国際的な詐欺師だったに過ぎない。
Except he doesn't even succeed in anything.
あの件については私も曽根崎氏も被害者だ。
Sonezaki? Is this a reference to the Sonozakis?
彼の先見性は今をもって間違っていない。将来必ず世界の大富豪が宇宙旅行をたしなむ時代が訪れる。
He's not wrong about that.
そしてその最初の事業は民間一社によって独占される。
Just that it took 10 4 decades.
着眼点は間違っていない。それを利用して世界中の投資家を騙している国際的な詐欺集団がいて、
曽根崎という男もその一味だったと申し上げているのです。
Well, they said Kraus was right about a lot of things, but his timing was terrible. Yep. Although, if Kraus tried to invest in NFTs now, he'd still freak up.
あなたはどこまでお人よしなのですか。どうしていつもうさんくさい話を疑いもせずに乗ってしまうのですか。
訂正しろ。
Oops.
曽根崎氏は優秀な未来ある男だ。うさんくさくなどない。彼の語る夢は未来を先取りしているからこそ、それが見えるものには妄想にしか見えんだけだ。
Oh my God.
女のお前には未来など見えん。
Fuck off, Kraus.
ええ、女の私には未来など見えません。でも現在なら見えます。私の目の前で狡猾な二枚舌の詐欺師たちに丸め込まれ、騙されてなお妄信している哀れな夫の姿なら見ることができます。
黙れ。お前には金も事業も経済も何もわからん。
I think she'd do a better job than you would
夫の仕
ever.
事に口は出すな。妻は家事だけをしてればいい。
Whoa,
お
no.
前は黙っていろ。
Oh no. Oh no. Fuck off, Kraus. Just fuck off. Without another word, Natsuhi fell silent just as Kraus had hoped she would. She was already far beyond anger and sadness. I'd be pissed if someone told that to me. I would probably like rip their teeth off one by one. Okay, that's a little bit extreme, but I would punch them. And the emotion that lay on the other side of those was an almost indifferent pity. Kraus had been in awe of Kinzo since he was very young, had started to subconsciously admire the way his father lived. Without realizing, he had come to believe that he could only be recognized as a man in his own right if he surpassed his father. You shouldn't try to be like Kinzo. However, Kinzo had been a mad genius, the likes of which had never before been seen in the Ushiromiya family's long history. The talent was a gift from heaven, and it definitely wasn't genetic, much less something that could be learned. Oh, if only you were more like Eva, Kraus. To give the two of them a chance to talk alone, Natsuhi told the servants not to tell anyone about Kinzo's death, and they left the room for the time being. Okay, so this at least explains one thing. Then she invited Kraus to her bedroom, and made him tell her everything about their current financial situation. These were things that Natsuhi had been told about under the assumption that a woman had no business in the... Natsuhi had herself made a point of avoiding this area in the past, thinking that it wasn't a wife's place to intrude on such matters. However, this might have also meant that she had abandoned her duty as a wife to protect her family. The depth of this sin had been made quite clear to Natsuhi. Kraus was probably tired of trying to defend himself. Perhaps because he had gotten a headache, he hid his face and sank into silence. Natsuhi noticed that the water in the electric kettle was boiling and stood up to refill her cup with black tea. When she touched the cup of black tea, she noticed for the first time the sound of the cup and saucer clinking together told her that her fingers were shaking. Uh-oh. Kraus had built up a large debt to obtain funds for his various projects and to cover the losses when they failed. Of course, he had put the mansion and property up as collateral. Oh, fuck. However, doing such a thing above board would result in the mortgage being registered. In other words, it would be a record that Kraus had put Kinzo's wealth up as collateral to obtain a loan without anyone's permission. Kinzo, Eva, and the others must not learn of such a thing. Therefore, Kraus had been putting those assets up as collateral using the worst possible method. Oh my god, Kraus, you are unbelievably incompetent. I signed over the deeds in power of attorney. What Kraus was saying probably meant that he had, in a sense, signed away the rights to his oh my god. Kraus, I can't believe you. If these assets had been used as collateral for a loan, then Kraus would still have some leeway under the law. He would still have to deal with a bank, which would have absolutely no compassion, but they would be able to work something out within the rules set by society. However, signing away the deed and power of attorney was a whole different story. In other words, even the mansion they were living in, if the person holding up the deed were to decide to ignore his agreement with Kraus and sell the mansion to a third party right this moment, they would have no recourse whatsoever. Far from using collateral for a loan, this was basically the same as selling their house to borrow money. Oh jeez. I can't believe you.
つまり後宮家の生殺与奪は金貸したちの手に委ねられていたわけですね。
See, this is what happens when you don't trust your wife to handle stuff like this. Your far more competent wife. Because, oh no, me must be more competent than woman. Don't you love the 80s?
突然この家を売り払ったら
Why can't they just be like Rudolph and Kirie and Hideyoshi and Eva, where both see each other as equals and are not sexist? So moral of the story, don't be sexist to your wife if she's more competent than you. Or like in general, don't be sexist.
私たちは今すぐにも荷物をまとめ出て行かなくてはならないということですね。
Well?
理屈上はそうだ。だが、取引の相手はいずれも社会的信用のある人物ばかりだ。
Oh, shut up!
その金じゃないぞ。経済人同士の信用取引だ。私も相手を信用している。
You shouldn't?
相手だって私に金を貸すことで私が大きな事業を成功させ、投資した額が大きくなって帰ってくることを信用している。委任状を預けたのは私の誠意と事業の絶対の成功を疑わないからだ。ここで渋ったらどうなる？自分の事業に自分で自信が持てないことになるだろう。
If you were such a successful businessman, we wouldn't be in debt now, would we? Natsuhi only barely stopped herself from saying that. I wish you did.
お父様は亡くなりました。
But I think if she did, then Kraus would have flown into one hell of a rage.
すると、あなたの借金が白日の元となり、他の兄弟たちに咎められることになるわけですか？
それだけでは済まない。多分、刑事訴訟にも及ぶだろう。
Okay.
刑事訴訟？どうしてですか？
What did you do, Kraus?
君は知らない方がいい。とにかく、絶対にこのことを誰にも知られてはならぬ。
Kraus, what the fuck did you do? What did you do? So, sorry. Kraus looked at the floor shamefully, shaking his head over and over. If it would come to criminal charges, then he must have broken some laws. He's probably been so intent on raising a large sum of money that nothing had mattered to him but survival. Kraus had seriously believed that he would succeed with several businesses and that he would definitely gain huge profits. So he had figured that even if he stepped over a few legal lines, he would be able to pay everything back before too long and pretended that the whole thing had never happened. This may have been the factor that lessened his resistance towards breaking a couple laws. But now Kinzo's dead, the worst possible thing had occurred, and they wouldn't be able to keep it all hidden for long. So that the actress explains why Kinzo was dead. That confirms that he's been dead all this time and they've only been pretending him to be alive.
君は信じてくれんな。景気は今確実に上向いているんだ。私が都心で投資した不動産価値はみるみる上昇している。今それらを統合して巨大ビジネスタワーを建設する計画が進んでいる。
Stop.
これは私のこれまでの投資の中で最も確実で最も大きな成功をしているものだ。
Natsuhi's probably like, please just shut up.
ただ、それは身をつけるのにまだ時間をかける。絶対に確実だが、今すぐというわけではないのだ。
その事業の成功は借金を返済するに足りるものですか？
もちろんだと思う。これまでの借金をすべて帳消しにできる。だから信じてくれ。もう少しだけ時間が欲しいんだ。
しかしお父様はもうお亡くなりになってしまいました。もうその時間はないのですよ。
分かっている、分かっているとも。だからどこかから金を調達して今すぐに借金を返さなくてはならない。とにかく金が必要なんだ。金が大量に今すぐ。
You do have one of the gold plates, don't you? Or was that like a lie from episode 1? As Kraus rolled and clutched at his head, he writhed about as if in pain. As she watched, several emotions swirled about the Nazi's chest. Her emotions conflicted as she felt pity for her husband while also feeling that he was a fool. And she felt a mixture of resentment and regret towards her own irresponsibility in letting her husband run wild for so long. Even if this day hadn't come, it should have been clear that they were in a very critical situation. And yet he had carelessly waited for this moment to come, and was now writhing about. Her husband was so foolish, so pitiful. It would be easy to let herself get fed up by this. However, she was his wife. For a wife, ridiculing her husband as a fool would run in conflict with her responsibilities. If he was a fool, then she would have to support him enough to compensate. Oh god. 80s stuff going on here. Or if she didn't have a clue what she should do. Since there had been such a massive amount of money within arm's reach, it was only natural that Kraus had tried to dip his hand into it. It would also be easy to tell him to be a man and give up on all of it. But that would also run in conflict with her responsibilities. She was Ushiromiya Natsuhi, the woman who had become Kraus's wife and sworn to support him, the new head of the Ushiromiya family, for her whole life. She had to somehow help her husband in his efforts to raise money. She understood it logically, but she couldn't suppress the indescribable dejection that seemed to rise up from the dark depths of her heart. Natsuhi's tired.
そうだ。親父の隠し黄金。
Natsuhi is like, oh my god.
10トンの黄金なら200億の価値がある。あれさえあれば。そうそう。あれさえ見つかれば万事は解決する。夏日、あれだ。魔女の碑文だ。あれを解こう。一緒に解こう。黄金さえ見つかれば万事解決なんだ。そうさ。この島のどこかに隠されてるはずなんだ。あれさえあれば。あれさえあれば。
Oh, so could it be?
一体あなた。
The cope is strong. Yep, it's a lot of salt here. Kraus, acting as excited as he thought of a perfect, brilliant plan, grabs Natsuhi's upper arms tightly. Oh no, leave her alone. Natsuhi couldn't help but be dumbfounded. She wasn't just taken aback because she'd heard him bring up something as fake sounding as the hidden gold. This was Kraus, who usually mocked the story of the hidden gold, saying that it didn't exist and it was all an illusion his father had created to borrow a lot of money. That was why Natsuhi was doubtfully taking him aback. Don't involve Jessica!
子供の感性でなら解けることもあるかもしれん。今は一家の一大事なんだ。みんなで協力し合わなくてはならない。そうだ。あんなの親父が作った気まぐれな謎なんだ。解けるはずさ。解けないはずがないんだ。それしかないんだ。ああ、夏日、本当に良かった。まだ手は残っていたんだよ。こんなに身近に。この島に黄金はある。それさえあれば万事解決なんだ。
That doesn't look like a laughing man.
ジェシカを呼ぶんだ。家族の危機は家族で乗り越えよう。さあ早く。黄金はこの島にある。すぐ身近にあるんだ。
Oh boy. Unable to withstand the pain in the arm he was twisting in his excitement, Natsuhi knocked Kraus aside. Good. Kraus tipped over the edge of the bed and flopped over onto the floor.
いい加減にしてください。そしてどうか冷静になられてください。後ろ宮家の一大事にそんな夢みたいなことを言い出してどうするというのですか。
夏日。
Oh boy.
あなたもよく頭を冷やされて現実的な金策をお考えになってください。私も頭を冷やしてきます。
待ってくれ。 Natsuhi.
She's like, I'm so fucking done with you. Maybe he had come to his senses the instant he fell over. Klaus tried to tell Natsuhi to stop, but she just kept walking. After closing the door forcefully, Natsuhi dashed away. Natsuhi ran through the corridor. Oh! Even though she didn't want anyone to see her like this, she ran headlong into Genji.
大変失礼いたしました。奥様、お怪我はございませんか？
私は大丈夫です。放っておきなさい。
No wonder she has headaches all the time.
かしこまりました。
現地。
Like, the amount of stress that this woman is under is unbelievable.
はどうなっていますか？
そのままにしております。南條先生は客間におられますが。
そうですか。書斎の鍵は持っていますか？
はい、ございます。
お貸しなさい。しばらく私とお父様の二人きりにするように。もし主人に私のことを聞かれても知らないというのですよ。
かしこまりました。
After grabbing the key to the study that Genji was holding out to her, Natsuhi rushed up the stairs. She then flew into the study, finally let out a wail and cried. Oh, poor lady. Everything just came crashing down.
お父様、愚かな私たちをどうかお許しください。私と主人はお父様の築き上げてきたものを受け継ぐことができません。罪深く愚かな私たちをどうかお許しください。そしてもしお許しいただけるならばどうか愚かな私たちをお導きください。
Are you sure you want to be led by kings of all people? Clinging to Kinzo as he slept in the bed, Natsuhi cried even harder. She kept imagining Kinzo sitting up suddenly and patting her head. What? No, father isn't the type of person to pamper. More likely, he yelled at me to stop being so noisy. However, neither of these imaginations came true, because it was an undeniable fact that Kinzo had entered an eternal sleep. But even so, Natsuhi begged the sleeping Kinzo to forgive and help them. It was still only a few hours after his passing. Perhaps his soul was still here, listening to her. Believing this, Natsuhi begged for Kinzo's forgiveness and help even more earnestly. Oh?
私は沈黙を尊ぶといつも言っている。
What's happening? The voice made Natsuhi jump up in surprise. Oh no! When she faced in the direction that the voice had come from, she saw Kinzo sitting at the study desk, folding up his reading glasses.
またクラウスと喧嘩をしたのか。嫁をいたわらぬとはクラウスめ。私の悪いところばかりを受け継ぎよる。
Oh boy, is this like only the idealized version of Kinzo? Oh man, this is sad.
というみそぼらしい顔か。顔を洗え。仮にも後ろ宮家次期当主の妻ではないか。そんな情けない面を使用人に見せてはならぬぞ。
はい、お父様。失礼しました。
Natsuhi understood. This was just an illusion, one that Natsuhi had created out of her desire to speak with a memory of Kinzo as he once was. No, that wasn't it. She believed that just for now, Kinzo's soul had shown itself to her. She was sure that doubting this would cause it to vanish in an instant. Oh.
座が継承されたと同時に早速厄介事が起きたようだな。
はい、お父様。夫を支えることができませんでした。本当に申し訳ありません。
つくづく後ろ宮家は呪われている。私が当主を継承した時もそれはひどいものだった。 お前たちの苦難などまだまだ可愛いものだ。
Oh wow. Kinzo's succession to the family headship had come suddenly. At the time, he had been nothing more than a single young man from a branch family, far separated from the Ushiromiya main family. The main family might have had honor and tradition, but Kinzo had nothing to do with that. Then the principal members of the main family were wiped out in the Great Kanto earthquake, along with their businesses. And on top of that, there had been a complicated antagonism between the members of the family at the time, and the elders had all tried to impose their will on the others in that sinking ship. Because of this, they weren't even able to elect a leader to revive the Ushiromiya family. They then found a common ground and selected Kinzo, a youth with absolutely no ties to any of the opposing elders, to the head. So the elders hadn't really entrusted Kinzo with the rebuilding of the Ushiromiya family. Kinzo had been nothing more than their puppet, with his arms and legs pulled in opposite directions.
はい、お父様の苦難の日々はよく存じております。
そして戦争が始まった。当時の私はもう生きていくことに疲れ果てていた。
But then you met Beatrice.
戦場で死ねればと願ったが、前線には送られなかった。しかし、日に日に戦況が悪化し、本土決戦の時が近づいてきていた。
Hello, Yuppie. Hi, Bartik. How are you
私は
doing?
不謹慎にも、その日が早くやってくることを願っていた。
After listening to the approaching footsteps of that Reaper day in and day out, it is said that Kinzo started cutting his ties with this world one by one. And then on that day, when he had severed all his regrets, when he reached a state of enlightenment, it is said that he had a mystical experience. It is said that he met her, the Golden Witch Beatrice.
私は魔女と契約を交わし、黄金と狂気の力を与えられた。その日を境に、古き私は死に、狂気の魔力を得た新しき私が誕生したのだ。
存じております。
I'm alright, my tummy felt weird this morning, but it's feeling better now. Played a lot of Kirby Dream Buffet. That game is really fun. Oh, that's good to hear.
そして戦後、お父様は天才的辣腕にて後ろ宮家を復興させるのです。
The now deceased elders who knew Kinzo at the time had whispered to each other that Kinzo must bumped his head on the battlefield and returned with a different personality. That was how much Kinzo had stood out after the war. Whether the story about Kinzo meeting a witch was true or not, there could be no doubt that the extraordinary experience of war had prepared him for death and let him reach a state of enlightenment. If you wanted to describe the mystical experience following all of that as meeting with a witch, that claim certainly wouldn't be dismissed out of hand.
そうですね。お父様は戦争からお帰りになり、魔女ベアトリーチェを従え、真の意味での後ろ宮家当主となられたのです。
そうだ。
Before I met Beatrice, I was nothing more than a puppet, only the head and the name.
私は黄金の魔女を従えて初めて当主たり得たのだ。
お父様、その黄金の魔女は新しき当主である夫クラウスには力を貸してくださらないのでしょうか。
Nah.
貸すであろう。
Oh, okay.
真に当主を継承したならば。
真に継承するとはどういう意味ですか。
真の意味で後ろ宮家の当主としての責任と誇りを持てるかどうかということだ。夏日、お前ならば分かっているはず。当主とは血で継承されるものではない。魂と信念によって継承されるのだ。クラウスが我が長男であっても、それがなくては真の当主とは呼べない。そしてそれが心に宿されていたなら、その人間はたとえクラウスでなくとも、黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェはその真の当主に力を貸すであろう。そうであるな、ベアトリーチェ。
Oh, will she appear? It's been a week since I saw cow fauna on Twitter and still not sick of it. I forgot that they made someone like cow fauna. I didn't see her at all. When Kinzo called the witch's name, gold butterflies seeded out of every corner of the room. This fantastical scene had an otherworldly beauty to it. It was like standing in the midst of a blizzard of golden flower petals being blown about a rose garden of gold. As Natsuhi stared at this scene in shock, the gold butterflies scattered and formed a human shape. Yes, my beloved! Then the witch of the portrait appeared. Me! Of course it's you.
後ろ宮家の当主たり得るのだ。
その傲慢さこそが後ろ宮家当主の資格だという。
傲慢とはすなわち自信であり勇気である。そしてそれに見合う力を得ようとする悪なき向上心の表れである。だからこそ私はお前を支配した。
Jeez.
傲慢を語る男がそれを実現していく様を見るのは心地よいものだ。苦言実行は強運なる者の言い訳に過ぎぬ。真の王者は持たぬ者さえも語る。そしてその傲慢を確かに実現してみせるのだ。わらわを支配できる者にはその王者の傲慢が必要だ。
わかるか、夏日。真の王者はあらゆる苦難を恐れぬ。必ず乗り越えられると公言する。その算段がなくともだ。だから弱者は希望を持つ。集い、あがめ、協力を誓う。そこに力が生まれ、有言は実行されるのだ。それを心に刻め。
So Natsuhi is going to claim the power of the monarch. Let's go. Natsuhi understood. Through this mystical experience, Kinzo was telling her how to prepare herself to overcome hardship, even after his own death. Feeling a warm sensation rise up in her chest, she let the valuable words Kinzo had given her echo through her mind over and over. A true monarch? In other words, the true head of the Oshinomiya family must not fear hardship. Such a person must believe they can overcome any hardship. If they can't even believe it about themselves, then they'll have no chance of overcoming their challenges. Like Kraus. She suddenly felt very ashamed of the way she'd entered this room. Sobbing and asking Kinzo what to do.
私は愚かでした。後ろ宮家の一大事に泣き言を言う暇などあるわけもありません。そしてお父様から後ろ宮家を引き継いだ以上、私たちは何があってもその名誉を守り抜きます。ほう、どうやってクラウスの借金を返済するか、その青写真も描けぬのにか。
They are pretty steep, I imagine. Beatrice laughed unpleasantly. No, that wasn't it. She was testing Natsuhi to see whether she possessed the mental readiness to be a true monarch. Natsuhi wasn't confused anymore. She answered clearly, gazing into Beatrice's eyes.
はい、今はどうすればいいのか、その方法をまだ見つけることはできません。しかし、私の夫は新しき後ろ宮家の当主であり、私はそれを支える妻です。ですから、夫に代わり、私が宣言します。聞こう。後ろ宮クラウスと夏日は必ずやこの苦難を乗り越え、後ろ宮家の名誉を守ってみせます。お父様にご心配をおかけすることはありません。
Yes, I fully trust Natsuhi.
クラウスの借金の規模と惨憺たる状況については知っておるな。
はい、この屋敷さえも 明日には立ち退けと命じられても拒めぬという最悪の状況です。遺産分配となれば親族たちに刑事告発さえされるかもしれません。しかし心配には及びません。そうなる前に借金をすべて返済し名誉を取り戻します。
Oh boy, good luck. As she stood at the attention with a resolute attitude, Natsuhi proclaimed this clearly with Ushiromiya Kinzo and Beatrice as witnesses. For a while, they remained silent as though weighing Natsuhi's resolve. Then Kinzo chuckled and turned away.
なぜにこやつが我が息子ではなかったのか。
その資質を持つ女を息子がめとったことさえ、これもまたそなたの強運。
Simply make her the head.
ベアトリーチ、私の最後の命令だ。
当主でないそなたの命令をもはや聞く義理はないぞ。
Oh!
おう、ならば新しき後ろ宮家当主の命令に従
そなたはすでに当主でなく、クラウスは未だ当主ではない。
It's Natsuhi?
わらわは誰に仕えよというのか。
お前にそれを委ねる。後ろ宮家の当主を受け継ぐ資格があるかどうか、そして片翼のわしの紋章を背負うにふさわしいかどうか、お前が確かめるのだ。
断るぞ。当主でなき男の命令など聞けぬわ。
いや違うぞ、これは遺言である。
A will?
当主が残したお前への最後の命令である。
ならば従わぬわけにはいかぬか。わらわもつくづく付き合いがよい。
違うな。
ほう。
興味を持ったからであろう
つくづくそなたには隠し事ができんな。
夏日、
はい、お父様。
乗り越えてみよう、この苦難を。
はい。
That might have seemed like a mere response to Natsuhi, but to Kinzo and Beatrice it seemed to be something of much greater significance. Beatrice nodded deeply, and with emotion as elegant as her dress, she bowed deeply before Natsuhi.
後ろ宮家顧問錬金術師、黄金の魔女ベアトリーチ。後ろ宮家の苦難を再び乗り越えるため、そなたの力となろうぞ。
Oh, did they basically make her head?
ありがとう。あなたの力が必要です。私たちは必ずこの苦難を乗り越えます。そのために助力は惜しまぬが、先に断らねばならぬ。かつて金蔵の窮地を救ったように、そなたに再び莫大な黄金を与えれば、この度の苦難は解決することは分かっている。
But what's the
し
catch?
かし、それはできぬのだ。
I'm probably gonna head out now since I plan to DB as superhero in an hour and it's still a long drive to the nearest theater. Hope you have fun. Oh, have fun with Dragon Ball Superhero, Kristen. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to watch it myself in 2 weeks.
そうです。
And thank you for coming.
すまんな、夏日。ベアトリーチェの黄金は私一代限りという契約なのだ。そしてそれを受け継ぐためには魔女の碑文を解かねばならぬのが取り決め。
黄金は碑文にて封じられている。だからそれを解けぬ限り、そなたに黄金の魔法は与えられぬ。
Is Natsuhi going to solve the epitaph?
ならば他の方法でこの窮地を脱する方法を模索しましょう。主人は時間をかけるとは言っていますが、必ず借金は返済できると言っています。そのための時間を得ることができれば、この苦難は乗り越えられます。
よいぞ、夏日。続け。
しかし金蔵はもう死んでいるぞ。医者と使用人は葬儀の準備。そなたは親族たちにその連絡だ。そなたは自らその金策の猶予時間を終わらせる宣言をすることになる。 自ら刃を下ろす断頭台も愉快なものよ。
Startled, Natsuhi looked up at the ceiling. There wasn't actually anything there, but even so, Natsuhi had found something.
降りたか、魔力が。
Oh?
夏決まったか。わらわに望む奇跡の魔法。
Let's go. Once again, all of those who had witnessed Kinzo's corpse were gathered in the study. Kraus was still impatient and clutching at his head. Genji was expressionless as ever. Nanjo and Kumasawa wore bewildered expressions on their faces. But in stark contrast to all of them, Natsuhi wore a resolute expression.
あなたにもう一度お尋ねします。金策は間違いないのですね。
That didn't sound confident.
1年。いや、せめて半年あれば必ず見れる計画なんだ。しかし、今すぐにはどうしても無理なのだ。
ならば、それを待ちましょ
う。しかし、お前も言ったぞ。親父はもう死んでしまった。
お父様はお亡くなりになどなっていませんよ。まだこうしてご健在であられます。
When Natsuhi said this, everyone jumped and looked up, because they instantly understood what those words meant. However, Kraus alone didn't get it right away and asked her.
それはどういう意味だね。親父はもう現にそこに。
What?
繰り返します。お父様は未だにご健在であられます。ご自身の研究がお忙しいので、これまで以上に書斎を出ることはできません。ですから私たちはお父様が研究に専念できるように外務をすべて執り行い、お父様に不要なお仕事が及ばないようにしなくてはなりません。つまりそれはこれまでと何ら変わらないということ、理解できていますね、源氏。
はい、片翼のわしの家具はこれからも親方様にお仕えいたします。
I see.
熊沢、そして南條先生、私の話は理解できましたね。
その
Kumasawa's like,
それでいいのかね、夏井さん。
お父様は確かに今日お亡くなりになったかもしれません。しかし今この場にいる私たち全員が信じることで、お父様を蘇らせる魔法を使うことができます。
I see what's happening.
奥様、そんないくらなんでも。
解剖すれば死亡時期を特定される。不審がられることは避けられん。
Simply don't make the autopsy report.
お父様はお亡くなりにならないのですから、解剖などされる言われはありませんよ。
Uh-oh. Of course, she wasn't planning to make it seem like Kinzo would live forever. The fake life given to Kinzo would only last until Kraus could repay his debts. After that, Kinzo's soul would finally be able to rest in peace. Nanjo repeatedly said that the time of death would be discovered during the autopsy, but Natsuhi kept saying that this wouldn't be a problem.
お父様は死亡届によってお亡くなりになるのではありません。
Oh, then the Tekken anime is out? Oh, I have to check it out sometime.
そうか、失踪届か。
After clapping his hands together, Kraus stood up, shaking his fist.
そうです。借金が無事に返済でき、お父様にお休みいただける準備が整ったなら、その時にお父様の失踪を宣言します。
ROKKENJIMA's vast, uncultivated forest was the perfect place to stage their appearance. One day, Kinzo would go out to the forest for a walk and never return. They would search for him without success and then be forced to report his disappearance.
失踪なら死体がなくても死亡届を出せる。つまり死亡時期を隠せるということだ。どうだ、南條先生。これなら何の問題もない。
Now just like, I don't want to be part of this criminal ploy.
確かにそういうことにはなりますが。
それで良いのですか、奥様。確かに私たちが黙っていれば 親方様がお亡くなりになられたのは秘密にできるかもしれません。
Okay, so Kumasawa and Genji and Nanjo all were in on this.
ですが、どこでどう間違って誰かに知られないとも。
熊沢、声が大きいです。お父様はあちらでお休み中なのですよ。起こしてしまわれるつもりですか？
Oh my god. It isn't a corpse. Kinzo is sleeping. As Natsuhi said that, Kinzo lay quietly on the bed as though there was nothing at all odd about her words. We are going magic, okay? Oh geez.
さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどんな姿をしていたのか、そなたがどんな日々を謳歌していたのか。
Oh, she's reviving Kinzo, I see. Once again, a storm of cold butterflies started to swirl, covering Kinzo's cold body. And he's revived. Then after the butterflies exploded into fine gold powder and disappeared, just like those fairy tales that had been told over and over since long ago, Kinzo slowly opened his eyes and sat up.
お父様。
夏日、先に我が名誉のために断っておくぞ。私は生への執着からそなたにこれをそそのかしたのではない。
嘘つきめ、多少は予見していたであろうが。どうだ金蔵、体の方は。
悪くはないが、どこか夢の中のような感じだ。重みがないな。
Oh.
この世にとどまることを許されぬ存在が未だとどまっているのだ。多少の不自由は諦めよ。
お体は本当に大丈夫なのですか？本当に大丈夫なのですか？
むしろ心地よいくらいだ。これが死後の世界の感覚ならば、幽霊気取りも捨てたものではないぞ。
Man, that's goals, being a ghost.
これにてどうか。夏金蔵はよみがえった。故に葬儀は不要。そなたの苦難はこれにて解決だ。
ベアトリーチェ。
As Natsuhi tried to find words of gratitude amidst her confusion, Beatrice waggled her pointer finger and spoke.
感謝の言葉はいらぬぞ。支配者は傲慢であればよい。わらわは頼みは聞かぬが、命令には従うのでな。
それでも言います。ありがとう。これで主人のために時間が稼げます。あとは私たちの仕事です。
Okay.
しかし夏日、確かに金蔵はよみがえったが、それは永遠ではない。我が魔力が続く限りである。半魔法の毒素により魔法は破られてしまうかもしれぬことを心せよ。
Oh, is this the reason why the study was not only locked up but also like had those scorpion things placed on them?
魔法の断りを正しく理解し、その維持に努めよ。わらわはそなたに奇跡を見せるが、それをつかみとどめるのはそなたの役目。
無論です。あなたにもらったこの奇跡を私たちは決しておろそかにしません。
それでよい。なるほどな。主と畳は新しい方がいいという。
Just like floor mats.
気に入った。わらわはそなたに使えようぞ。後ろ宮夏日。我こそは後ろ宮家顧問錬金術師、黄金の魔女ベア。いつでも我が名を呼ぶがいい。さすれば現れ、わらわはそなたに奇跡を授けるであろう。
ありがとう。私は後ろ宮夏日、あなたを刺激し、後ろ宮家の名誉を守ります。
Oh boy. Nocturne of Truth and Illusions. Okay, just before I get to the next scene, I'm going to get like a little snack. Family conference of the previous year. Oh, we're going back? Give me a second, I'm going to get my snack. My cat is now here. She's trying to eat my nuts. The rose garden was truly splendid this year. The roses were blooming like crazy as if competing with each other. In that rose garden, Kinzo, Kanon, and Natsuhi could be seen.
今年も良い花をつけたな。お前の手入れの賜物か。
ありがとうございます。今年は気候が良かったもので、
普段にも増して庭園が美しく保たれていますね。見事です。
ありがとうございます。
今日という日でさえなかったなら、バラをめでながら紅茶を楽しむこともできただろうに。
Kinzo shrugged. Though today was a family conference. When it came to the other siblings' business, none of the news had been good. On the contrary, those siblings probably planned to turn the conversation to the topic of Kinzo's remaining life, and hold a quiet feud over the inheritance.
不愉快な奴らだ。時にクラウスの方はどうなのか。レイの借金返済の計画は無事に進んでいるのか。
確かに現実性のある計画のようです。ただ計画の規模がだいぶ大きいようで、なかなか思い通りに結実しないようです。
Okay, so this happened before 85, I see.
可能ならば今日の親族会議を迎える前に何とかしたかったものだな。
はい、申し訳ございません。
良いのか、金蔵。そんなところをのんびり散歩しておって。
How had you gotten up there? Well, it's fairly pointless to wonder about that sort of thing when you're dealing with a witch. Beatrice was casually sitting on the floor of the roof of the arbor, almost as though she had been basking in the sun. Oh.
ハンマ法の毒素の塊である親族どもが押しかけてくるのだぞ。鉢合わせになったら、そなたの魂など一瞬で蒸発してしまうぞ。
すでに死んだ身だ。蒸発もまた小気味が良いというもの。
そういうわけには参りません。どうかお城宮家のためにもうしばらくお力をお貸しください。
夏日、親族どもの乗った船がこちらへ向かったようだぞ。そろそろ散歩は終わりにした方がよかろうな。
そうですか、ありがとう。お父様は書斎へお戻りくださ
い。やれやれ、この絶好の日和なのにな。残念だ。
Sucks, doesn't it?
愚痴るな、金蔵。今のそなたはわらわに生かされているだけの幽霊であろうが、そなたに毒素で消し飛ばれてはわらわも夏日も困るのでな。おとなしく書斎へ閉じこもり、布団でもかぶっておれ。
死してなおバラをめでる機会を与えられただけでも怖かった。
My cat is right in front of me, in front of the microphone, and sniffing my hand. Wait, what's he doing? Why are you chomping my hand?
だが紅茶はもらいたい。カノン、現地に紅茶を届ける。
No, no! Don't eat the mic! Iki! Not the mic.
今日はマルコポーロでももらおう。
Marco Polo?
かしこまりました。
では解散しよう。夏日、私抜きで見事親族会議をこなしてみせよ。
もちろんです、お父様。彼らの前で名乗ることはできませんが、主人はすでに後ろ宮家当主。私もその妻として恥ずかしくないよう微力を尽くします。
朝から胃痛を起こしているクラウスに比べ、夏日はなんと落ち着いたことか。
What can I say? She is coping well and she is competent.
我が息子が情けない。
Iki, what you doing?
主人にも主人の才能があります。
Why are you sniffing my snacks?
そのお弱のところを支えてこそ私は妻なのです。
しっかりやれ。私は茶番の邪魔にならぬようおとなしく閉じこもっているとしよ
う。カノン、お父様を書斎までお連れしなさい。それから現地に紅茶の手配を。
肩を借りるほど能力しておらぬわ。
I don't need your help standing up. Q isn't able to stand up. Refusing Kanon's attempt to lend him a hand, Kinzo rose from the flower bed he had been sitting on. The retired head left everything in Natsuhi's hand and returned to the study at a gentle pace.
様になっているぞ。金蔵の亡き妻にも似た貫禄があるな。
万一お父様が半魔法の毒素にやられたら魔法は瞬時に解けてしまうのですか？
うん、瞬く間だ。わらわは姿を消せばよいが、すでに亡者の金蔵は姿を失えばたちまちのうちに太陽の風に吹き飛ばされ塵と消える。用心せよ。
ええ、分かっています。
そなたには魔女の才能があるかもしれぬな。それでもなお、そなたは魔法を理解した。わらわとの出会いが幼少の頃であったなら、そなたは今頃偉大なる魔女だったかもしれぬ。
Oh, I see.
私は後宮クラウスの妻で、名誉を守るためならば魔女にも鬼にもなりましょう。あなたの魔法の力には深く感謝します。後宮家の名誉はあなたの力なくして守れませんでした。
その話は機会を改めよう。その際はぜひ女同士二人きりでのんびり紅茶を楽しみたいものだな。
Yes, ladies drinking tea.
スリランカに行った友人がバラの香りの素敵な紅茶を送ってくれました。
ほう、リンブラか。
ほう、
悪くない。ならば茶受けはパティスが良いぞ。この度の親族会議が無事にごまかし通せたなら、わらわへの褒美としてそれをぜひに振る舞え。約束であるぞ。
わかりました。約束しましょう。
The wind is coming back. I see something is going to happen.
うん。後ほどな。
The witch made her body crumble in rustling winds, became gold flower petals and scattered into thin air. Natsuhi watched her go, then turned her on her heels and headed for the mansion. And then there were none left in the rose garden.
さてと、ここでブレイクタイムね。ここまでの展開だけど、なんか文句ある？
No.
何もないわよ。おしっこしたいならさっさと行ってくれば。
ひどい言い草ね。金蔵はもう死んでるのよ。それがこうして歩き回って言葉を交わしてるじゃない。 それって魔法ってことにしちゃってもいいのかしら。まあベルンにはこんな手今さら通用しないわよね。これっておかしいでしょ。金像を蘇らせた魔法の存在を認めざるを得ないんじゃない？
もしそれがベアとの真似のつもりならば。
Oh, so I guess she's giving him the recap, huh?
不愉快だから即刻やめろ。
やっぱわかる？それでほらほら、バトルはどう答えてみせるわけ？こうして金像がカッポしていることを。
That girl looks like a strawberry cake. She does have sweets all over her, but Lambda is a little... She's a little devil.
こんなのわけわかんねえよって泣き言聞かせてよ。そして全然ダメだぜってお約束の口癖でお得意のとんでもでぜひ反論を聞かせてよ。死んだはずの人間が歩き回れるわけないよね。
She's a little gremlin is what I would say. But I guess you can see that by her face.
集団妄想を見せる未知のウイルス、ロッケン島症候群の仕業とか。
Oh my god.
ロッケン島だけに住む謎の蝶の鱗粉に幻覚作用がとか。
Are we doing Higurashi references? Is that it?
山犬が作った集団妄想を見せる未知の薬物、プルプルピコピオの仕業とか。
We're going full in with the Higurashi references.
素敵なとんでもいっぱい聞かせてよ。
うるさい、黙れ。こんなのは問題にもならない。
Grandfather is dead at this point in time. There's no way he exists.
それを存在するかのように振る舞っているのは、なんとかじい様の死を隠して親族会議をごまかしきろうとする夏日おばさんの嘘だからだ。
Yeah, she's coping. Kinda reminds me of Flandre Scarlet from Toho. I can imagine some Umineko characters might be lightly inspired by Toho characters. Mostly because Ryukishi and the people behind Toho are both doujin creators, like indie games. And the person who, like, a few people who work in the soundtrack for Umineko actually have worked in Toho, like ZTS, who has composed banger tracks like Mirage Coordinator, World End Dominator, and Dream Discharger, and more. Like, a good chunk of the Umineko soundtrack is done by ZTS, and ZTS has worked in Toho, so it wouldn't surprise me if Ryukishi has ties with Toho and likes to reference them. It makes sense because another character that he references from doujins, more overtly so, is Chi-sensei from Higurashi, who looks basically exactly like Seal from Tsukihime.
嘘をつくと死者が蘇るの？それって夏日の魔法じゃないの？
この世界はブラウン管を除く前の世界。開く前の猫箱の世界だ。夏日おばさんがじい様と一緒に散歩したと語り、夏日おばさんがじい様とバラ庭園を散歩したことは夏日おばさんの事実として提示できる。だからじい様が現れることができる。
Clap, 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 clap. That extremely unflattering applause was coming from Burnkan's death. She's like... Fucking...
あなた、ベアトがいないと冷静なのね。
うるさい。お前も黙れ。
お待ちなさいよ、バトラー。あんたのご考説によるなら、夏日しかいない場所には金像が現れることは確かに可能かもしれない。
But Kanon is there.
夏日しかいない世界で、夏日が金像を観測したと主張したなら、誰にも否定はできないもんね。でもあの場にはカノンが居合わせて、彼も金像を見てるのよ。それをどう説明する気なのよ。
全く問題ないな。
Okay.
カノン君は後ろ宮家に雇われてる使用人だ。夏日おばさんにじい様の死を隠すために口裏を合わせるように命令されてるはずさ。
Yep, that makes sense.
だから夏日おばさんと同じように存在しないはずのじい様を見ることができる。
あいにくね。 ラムだ。もうバトラはその程度の子供騙しには引っかからないのよ。
そうみたいね。ま、こんなのゲーム前の前座よ。料理の前のアペリティフ。
飲み屋のお通し、寿司屋の緑茶。
うるせえ。青字で言い直さなきゃ先に進めねえのか。
そうね。一応もらえる？
Alright, blue text, let's go.
じい様がすでに死んでいるにもかかわらず、何事もなかったかのようにカッ歩しているのは、じい様が生きていると思わせたい連中が生み出している幻想だからだ。同じ思惑を持つ人間たちはその幻想を共有できる。そしてあたかもじい様が存在し、ついさっきまで一緒だったかのように語る。だからさも当然のようにカッ歩しているんだ。
Good.
よって夏日おばさんに組みしていない人間の前にじい様の幻想が現れることはできない。だからこそ書斎に閉じこもって出てこないという設定が必要になるんだ。
Yep, we're in. In the games before now, grandfather was always locked himself up in his study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in his study in a bad mood, such as claiming to have met him only a short while ago. We blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study. That's right, in the games before now, the only people who met grandfather were Uncle Kraus, Aunt Natsuhi, and the servants. Because they all stuck to the same story, an illusion of grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive.
ご丁寧にも、お前のゲームの冒頭でじい様の死を隠すために夏日おばさんが南條先生たちを言いくるめるシーンまで見せてくれたじゃねえか。
Yep.
今さらこんな子供騙しには引っかからねえぜ。
やるじゃない。未知の薬物プルプルピコピヨとか期待してたのに。
そんな妄言口にするわけもないでしょ。だってその存在を仮定することはファンタジーに屈したのと全く同じだもの。ウイルスだろうと薬物だろうと病気だろうと未知の要素である限りノックス第4条に
第4条って何の話だ？
What's that?
ノックス第4条未知の薬物および難解な化学装置の使用を禁ず殺人にこれを用いてはならないという規則よ。
なんだそりゃ。未知の薬物 X、 未知の化学装置 X は魔女と戦う上での一番の武器だろうが。
それ全部正式なミステリーでは違反だから。未知のウイルス、未知の薬物。ご愁傷様。それがあなたの推理だったならあなたゲームオーバーよ。
Burn is getting more and more mocking of Butler as we go.
何を言ってやがんだ。
あなたはベアトと真正面から戦ってきたつもりでいる。でもね、本当は違うのよ。真正面じゃない。ずれた角度で戦い合ってたの。あなたがしてた推理ごっこはファンタジー対ミステリーじゃない。ファンタジー対アンチファンタジーでしかないのよ。
Okay.
何を言ってやがるのかさっぱりわからねえぜ。
Whatever the hell that means.
一つだけわかることがある。俺のこれまでの戦い方にケチをつけたいらしいってことだ。
Kinda, yeah.
私たちは魔女幻想というファンタジーを殺すために戦ってるのよ。それはつまりこの物語を正式なミステリーで解釈するということ。つまりミステリーの禁忌に触れるすべての要素は初めから無視して書かれということよ。
無視だと？
例えばこれまでのゲームで何度も密室殺人があったでしょ。
ああ。
あなたはベアトと その随分と熱心に確認していたわね。
But?
まるでそれ自体が戦いであるかのように。赤き真実を織り交ぜてガキンガキンと派手に。あれ、私に言わせると、だってノックス第3条で明記されてるんだもの。
What's that?
秘密の通路の存在を禁ず。ミステリーではね、秘密の通路はあっちゃいけないの。
Okay.
つまり正式なミステリーとして解釈しようとする。隠し扉があるのかどうかなんて論争、初めからしたら負けなのよ。だってないんだから。存在するかもしれないと疑う時点でもうゲームオーバー。
So basically don't think of bullshit
犯
excuses.
行現場に隠し扉が存在しないことが証明されてないから推理できないなんて。甘ったれたあなたはミステリー失格。その時点でゲームオーバー。ミステリーで解釈する戦いをしてるつもりだったんでしょ。ならミステリーのお約束にちゃんと従わなきゃ。
Oh damn.
そういうことよ。すべての犯行現場には隠し扉が存在してはならないの。だからその存在を確かめる行為はすべて時間の無駄ってわけ。
お前が言ってるのはあれだろ。どこかで聞いたな。推理小説の条件10か条みたいなやつだった。
Okay, do tell what they are.
ええ、そうよ。希代の魔女狩り大司教ノックスが振りかざす魔女をうがつ10本のくさびよ。それこそが魔女幻想というファンタジーと真正面から戦い打ち破るための正しい武器。さすがベルンね。厄介な武器を持ち込むこと、ファンタジーの大敵だわ。
犯行現場を調べもせずに隠し扉の存在を初めから否定できるなんて、俺にはそれこそファンタジーだぜ。
魔女側を受け持つラムダはファンタジー、それと戦う私はミステリー。あなたはただファンタジーを否定して交わし続けるのがやっとのアンチファンタジー。
She does have a point.
何から何まで反対だけど
But you can't make any counter proposals. Yep.
あなたどっかの国の政治家みたいね。
Damn. That's rough.
うるせえぞ。お前たちとわけのわからねえ話をするためにここに戻ってきたんじゃねえ。さっさと話を続けろ。
静かになさいよ。あんたの後ろの眠り姫が辛そうよ。
When he turned around, he saw Beato's living corpse resting in a chair. However, sweat glistened over her body, and it felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from a high fever.
ベアート、どうしたんだ？大丈夫か？
What's going on?
大丈夫かって。あんたおかしなこと言うのね。その子を殺すためにあんたは戦ってるんでしょうが。
We've prolonged this fifth game for your
けど
benefit.
今ベ
Okay.
ルンがかなり追い込んでいて魔女幻想を打ち破ろうとしているの。その存在が否定されかかってるんだもの。苦しむのは当然だわ。
あなただって今金像が存在するわけがないと魔女幻想を打ち破ったわ。あなたの攻撃がベアトに通った証拠よ。彼女のその苦悶は。
I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Beato's forehead with a handkerchief. It's true I promised Beato that I'll let her die, but it was supposed to happen peacefully. I wasn't planning to make her suffer first. My goal isn't to make the sleeping Beato suffer like this before killing her. As if they had seen right through my mixed feelings, the two witches grinned. Oh man, they're being total bullies. That's not nice.
"姉貴が遺産遺産って騒ぐから親父に聞かれちまったんじゃねえかよ."
We heard because you kept yelling about the inheritance, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
私のせいじゃないわよ。どうしようもないでしょ。たまたま廊下にいて聞かれてたなんて事故でしょ、事故。
予算か2人とも。今回は運が悪かったと思って諦めるんや。男の機嫌なんてほっとけばコロッと治るもんやで。
気分を害したお父さんがおかしな衣装を残さないでくれるといいわね。
The relatives took a deep breath and fell silent.
こら、マリアムはしゃがないの。エンジェちゃんが転んだらどうするの。
Oh, this is a conference where Ange is still around.
お待たせしました。
Don't do this to me.
船の準備が整いました。
ほな行くで。今はぐちぐち言っても始まらんで。
またのご来島を心よりお待ち申し上げております。
But I want to see small Ange. Oh, but wait. When did Ange say the things that made Maria angry if it wasn't here? Like in episode 4, right? Natsuhi was sitting on a bench in the rose garden looking completely worn out. However, when she noticed that Kanan and Kumasawa were coming back, she immediately sat up straight, regaining the dignity of the head's wife.
船は出ましたか？
はい、たった今出港なされました。
そうでしたか。見送りご苦労でした。主人はどうしてますか？
先ほどお部屋にお戻りになりました。お休みになられるとのことです。
Since the previous day, Klaus had been almost overwhelmed by anxiety over the thought that Kinzo's death might be discovered. When the family conference ended, his wariness must have suddenly gotten a hold of him. However, the way he had refused to even let the sliver of his true intentions slip out, and the manner in which he had managed to act as though everything was normal, showed that Klaus's nerve was nothing to sneeze at. Welcome back, Bartix. Are you winning, son? I am reading. So I guess I am kind of winning?
いいえ、親方様に遺産分配の話を立ち聞きされたと。エヴァ様などはそれは大騒ぎでしたとも。ね、あの慌てっぷり傑作でしたね。
はい、大層取り乱しておいででした。
しかし熊沢もなかなかの演技力ですね。あの廊下での慌てっぷりは本当にそこにお父様がいらっしゃったかのようでしたよ。
She's good at it.
熊沢さんはそういうのが大変お上手ですから。
Oh, of course she is.
あら、やだやだ、褒めすぎですよ。
Oh, I adore this lady so much.
熊沢の病欠の電話は簡単に信じないよう、よく現地に行っておかなくてはなりませんね。
それは手厳しゅうございますよ、奥様。
本当にご苦労でした。お前たちと源氏とシャノンには過去1ヶ月分の休暇の買い上げと新たに5日の有給を与えます。
At least she pays them more.
秘密の手当ですよ。取得に際しては源氏と相談し、他の使用人たちに気取られないように。
心得ております。
Oh, these servants are winning.
熊沢さん、声が大きいです。
いけないいけない。
そうですね。この話はこれまでとします。各自通常のお勤めに戻るように。そうそう、ゴーダに特別にお茶の用意をさせました。いただくように。
Natsuhi let them know she wanted to be left alone for a while so she could drink some black tea in the rose garden. The black tea had been carried all the way to the bench. Was the Sri Lanka tea Dimbula that she had promised Beato along with some patties? Yes. Sitting on the other side of the snack, staring at it curiously, the wife of the head and her witch could be seen.
これがパティスですか。私はてっきり焼き菓子のようなものだとばかり。
What are patties? Apparently Natsuhi, not realizing that it had the curry-like spicy flavor, had started choking after putting it in her mouth. To describe it in Japanese terms, it was like fried dumplings stuffed with mashed curry-flavored potatoes. As a household dish, it would probably be pretty popular with the kids. Oh, that sounds like it tastes delicious. However, it was something of a shock to Natsuhi, who expected that a treat to go with tea would be sweet.
知らんのか？リンブラといえばこれだぞ。紅茶ならクッキー。ああ、チョコでもよいな。日本茶なら羊羹だが、塩昆布でもよい。中国茶なら小籠包。わらわは月餅も好きだ。
Oh, mooncakes! I want to try them someday.
随分と文化に詳しいのですね。
まあ、伊達に1000年は生きておらぬ。世界の名茶は一通り試した。お茶の世界旅行といったところか。
確かに、それは立派な世界旅行ですね。このような紅茶の楽しみ方もあると、今日初めて知りましたので、これは貴重な体験です。
わらわは六軒島より出
I
られ
really
ぬ。
want to eat some Japanese food one day. There are some that I can definitely recommend that I like. For example, gyudon is one of my favorites. Gyudon is very good. Katsudon is very good. It's basically everything that's done is like a bowl with rice and something on top. Katsudon is like what's called empanado in English. Like a schnitzel basically, but like a Japanese schnitzel. On top with like a special sauce and onions. And gyudon is very thinly sliced beef meat, also made in a sauce of mirin, soya, a bit of sugar, dashi, ginger and some other stuff. And it's one of my favorites. I love it very much. Then of course I can also recommend okonomiyaki. I have eaten once. My boyfriend made it for me. It's also very delicious. Donburi, I don't know if I've tried. I have to Google it for a second. Give me a very short bit. I'm going to look it up because I'm curious what donburi is. Donburi. Okay, donburi I haven't eaten yet. There's more Japanese dishes that I like, but everything that's don is like amazing. Ramen I've eaten, it's also good. But there's so many different kinds of Japanese food. I just like it a lot. Onigiris are good, of course. I want to try eating more Japanese sweets. Like I want to eat Japanese shortcake and others a lot. Okay, sushi I've definitely eaten. Takoyaki I've eaten, I really like it. Dango I don't think I ever got to try, or maybe I got to try it once. Doriyaki I've tried, one of the few sweets I tried, as well as taiyaki I think it's called, the sweet that looks like a fish, but it's like baked and done like a waffle. Meron pan I've eaten is also good. Edamame I think I've tried once. Seaweed salad is one of my favorites as well, but I'm not sure if that's Japanese or if it's like general East Asian. Japanese crepes are amazing. I've eaten Japanese curry as well. It's also very good. It can get very spicy, but my boyfriend makes it mild for me and I really like it. It's very delicious. And of course I've eaten like a few bento boxes here and there. That's what I can recommend for now, from the top of my head, but there's definitely way more food I want to try. Like everything I see on Yakuza, I want to try. Donburi is a don part of gyudon and oyakodon. Ah, I see. Those things are delicious, really anything with red bean paste, yum. I think I've only had anpan once. Yakisoba I've gotten to eat sometimes, but I really also want to try yakisoba bread sometime. Also something I want to try learning, something simple, is egg rice with umami. Oh yeah, right, and omurice. Omurice is also one of my favorites, and it's the first Japanese recipe I've learned for myself. And I love it. I can't do the omurice that's like with the soft egg on top. I can only do like the standard one. And I kinda don't make it 100% traditionally Japanese. I make a mixture of the recipe that was given by the YouTube channel Cooking with Dog, which is like led by a Japanese woman, and her dog is her mascot, and that's the version that I learned. But the rice that I make is Brazilian rice. Like, I prepare my rice in the Brazilian way for omurice, which basically, I don't know what the rice is for Japanese recipes, but it tends to be like that sushi rice, right? Like the one that sticks to more together, that is easier to form stuff with, that you have in a bowl, that you can pick easier with chopsticks and the like, right? Or with spoons. The rice that I make, the Brazilian rice, is much more loose and has a bit of a more stronger flavor. Basically, instead of like cooking it in the water or in the rice cooker, Brazilian rice, you do it like this, at least the way my mother taught me. I don't know if there's like different ways of preparing Brazilian rice. There could be. There likely is, but the way that I do my Brazilian styled rice is based off my mother's recipe, which I think is based off her own mom, so it's like, I guess, a generally passed down rice recipe from Brazilian native descent family. I guess. Right, so before I continue reading, let me just say very quickly how I do this rice. So I take basmati rice. That's my preferred. That's mine and my mom's preferred rice to do. We technically do it a little bit like fried rice. So you start frying a little bit of garlic in olive oil, just a little bit of olive oil, but like 1-2 teeth of garlic, or you use powdered garlic. You let the garlic like start getting slightly golden, and you toss in the rice raw without water, and you stir fry it for a while until the rice itself starts getting not golden, but you can see that it's starting to get a little bit fried, right? After that, then you take, like, you put in 1 cup of rice raw, and in compensation you put in either the same cup of that you use the rice in, 1 cup of water in, and if you want to be safer, then you can put 1.5. So basically 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water, or 1.5 cup of water. And then you let it leave in cooking in low heat. And just as you put the water, you put just salt and pepper, and that's it. And that's how I make the Brazilian rice. And everybody tells me like it's the shit. It's amazing. And that's why I make omurice with this rice. Even though with normal sushi rice, it's just fine.
嫁ぐまでは一度も海外旅行をしたことがなかったので、どれも新鮮な体験でしたよ。
To many countries, I see. Natsuhi traveled a lot, huh?
窮屈な家に生まれたらしいな。
I hope she got to visit Portugal and Brazil and got to eat Brazilian food.
厳格でしたが、素晴らしい教育を施してくれましたよ。
Although I can imagine Natsuhi wouldn't be very into a lot of standard Brazilian food, but I could imagine her liking bacalhau in Portugal.
お父様とお母様に失礼です。
Now I'm hungry, I want some of that. I wish I could just like break into your house and make the rice for you, because I would.
雄弁に窮屈であると語っておるわ。
Klaus might have pitied Natsuhi, or he might have wanted to take her away from the rigid Ushiromiya family for a little bit and let her rest. Or he might simply have wanted to take his wife around countries he knew well to show off everything he knew. I think it was both.
主人はお父様と違ってアジアの国が好きで、香港、台湾、韓国にタイ、マレーシアも行きましたっけ？
Oh, that's nice.
クラウスめ、金蔵の西洋かぶれに反抗したつもりか。
I guess.
しかしアジアも良いぞ。日本人は丸ごと西洋かぶれだからな。
That'd be terrifying, but I bet my stomach would win over fear.
外国といえば西洋しか想像せん。
Have no fear, here's some rice.
西があれば東もあろうに。
私も西洋の知識はそこそこにありましたが、東洋の知識はあまりなかったもので、旅先でいろいろと主人にからかわれましたっけ。
I wonder if Natsuhi has gotten to visit India and other places. Maybe even Egypt. Oh!
いいか？これは瓶炉という、ここでは庶民的な嗜好品だ。
Look at them! It looked like a small round gourd-like nut that had been smashed with cucumber wedged in it. At a glance, it looked as though it would probably taste like pickles.
なるほど、これをかじればよいのですか。
As she tried to bite the one her husband was holding, he suddenly moved it away. Felt kind of embarrassing, like she was a fish after some bait.
ああ、待て。瓶炉には食べ方がある。確かにかじるのは正しい。かじる。もぐもぐとか。しかし食べてはならない。
Okay.
かじって噛むのに食べてはならないのですか？
うん。
They sound more innocent
かじっ
here.
て噛む。
That's cute.
食べてはならん。そして汁も飲んではならん。用意食べるかな。
わかりません。どうしてそんなものを食べなければならないのです？
ガムのようなものと思え。噛んで味を楽しむ。噛んだくずと汁はこうして紙コップに吐き出す。
あなた、お口の中が真っ赤ですよ。拭いて拭いて。
No, she's so cute! Even her favorite handkerchief, which she had wiped Klaus's mouth with, had bright red marks on it. Something that's poisonous if eaten or drunk, and it makes the inside of your mouth so bright red. And having to spit something out after you put it in your mouth, how indecent! Thinking this, Natsuhi adamantly refused Klaus's invitation.
嫌です、嫌です。結構です。
こういうのは異文化体験だぞ。ここでしかできない体験をしなければ旅行の意味がない。
Natsuhi's like, no, I'm too well-mannered, I can't do this. Klaus kept chewing, ignoring the fact that even his lips were being colored bright
こい
red.
つは親父殿も好きで、昔は取り寄せたのか、屋敷のテラスでももぐもぐやっていたものだ。夏日が来てからはやめたようだがね。ほら、君が私よりも尊敬する親父殿も愛用していたんだぞ。
You're tricking her, aren't you?
ほらほら、遠慮なく試したまえ。
いやいや、やめて、やめて、あなた。
During travel, Klaus had the innocence of a child. He didn't even conceal his jealousy of the respect Natsuhi normally gave Kinzo. Just being able to see that side of her husband made traveling all the way to another country worthwhile. Klaus urged her even harder to bite it. But Natsuhi, undaunted, ran from a place to place and finally yelled that he was being too pushy. Klaus was miffed the whole bus ride. What a child to let a little thing like this get him down. Natsuhi thought exasperately. Then a native tour guide in the bus took out one of the areca nuts and started explaining about it. It had apparently been a beloved luxury item in these parts since ancient times, similar to tobacco. Just like in Natsuhi's case, it was starting to be disliked by young people and was becoming obsolete. Furthermore, it was treated as a good luck charm in this area, and was known as a symbol for couples. Oh no! She looked at her husband's face. He turned away abruptly, but it looked like his cheeks had gotten a little red. Oh, Klaus was trying to flirt, huh?
んで、夫の肩に身を委ねて手なんか握っちゃったりしたわけか。なんだ、そなたら夫婦結構純愛ではないか。
Not so sure about that
燃え上が
now.
っちゃったであろう。その晩とか。
Red-faced and avoiding Beato's eyes, Natsuhi tried to hide her embarrassment by swallowing her the patty's whole, chewing with her cheek puffed out like a blowfish. Beato said, "Yep, this is the best snack anyone could have with tea," and nodded several times, a broad smile on her face. Oh, Natsuhi.
もっとも、それも新婚の頃の話です。今は六軒島を出ることもできぬカゴの鳥ですよ。
Oh, sucks, huh?
それを言うならわらわも同じよ。死ねども死ねども、六軒島よりは逃げられぬ。カゴの鳥はわらわも同じだ。
あなたのことは知りませんし、詮索もしません。しかし軽んじれぬ境遇であったことは察します。
老名主を気取るつもりもないわ。同じカゴの鳥同士、せいぜい仲良くしようぞ。わらわはそなたを気に入ったぞ。
そうですか、ありがとう。
この度の親族会議における使用人たちへの指示や采配は見事であった。金蔵が何時にどこにいて、何をして何を残したか、それらを見事に共有させ、矛盾なく組み上げた。それらの緻密な計画書は高度な魔法陣のそれと同じ美しさがあったぞ。
To make it look like Kinzo actually existed and was living life his own way, she had written his schedule for the day down to the finest detail and made the servants follow it to the letter. When did he meet whom and where, and what did he leave them? When did he do what and where, and what changed? As a result, even though the relatives never saw Kinzo even once, they hadn't suspected in the slightest that he hadn't been there. And when the rest truly believed that Kinzo had just happened to be walking through the hall when he heard them talking about the inheritance and went into a rage. Everything had gone just as Natsuhi's plan had predicted, down to the finest detail. And the cooperation by the servants had also worked smoothly down to the finest detail.
万一にも知られるわけにはいかぬ秘密ですので、念入りに策を練りましたから。
その緻密さと意志が絶対の成功を呼ぶ。
I see you're using Lambda vocabulary.
どうやらそなたは魔女としてはラムダデルタ教の一派らしいな。
Oh, there we go.
それを魔法と自覚したならば、いつでも魔女見習いを名乗れるレベルだ。
それを魔法と呼ぶなら、熊沢あたりは差し詰め、仮病の魔女ですね。
Oh, if only you knew.
忙しい日に限って腰痛で休むと連絡があります。毎年親族会議の日にはいつもです。
ああ、熊沢は違う違う。もっともっと高位の魔女であるぞ。正体知ったら驚くぞ。
Oh boy. Yes, indeed. Watching these two have their pleasant chat was another pair with steam rising from their black tea. However, the second pair was in a world that the first couldn't see, where golden roses bloomed.
ロノウェが気を利かせて、同じディンブラとかいう紅茶を入れてくれたぜ。
Is he going to appear? It felt as though Beato muttered something. For the first time, it felt as though something had gotten through to her. Surely she had taken an interest in the black tea and felt like drinking it. Thinking this, Beato took Beato's cup in her hand, making her hold the cup. Drink! Stay hydrated! Beato's eyes trembled sadly, and her fingers shook, almost as though she couldn't even move her fingers as she wanted to, and was mourning the fact that she could no longer enjoy the tea she had once loved by her own power. That's how she looked. So Beato put his hand on Beato's, grabbed hold of the teacup, and lifted it to her lips. Okay, I'll stay hydrated. Thank you, Bartix. Then, though it was a single mouthful, Beato sipped. The days they had been locked in a killing fest with red swords and blue wedges already seemed like the distant past. Now, not only was Beato unable to do that, it was even difficult for her to make her body do as she pleased. Even just drinking a mouthful of black tea like this was hard.
どうだ？バラの匂いが素敵な紅茶だよね。口に合うか？
Of course. Beato didn't respond.
どうしちまったんだ。
Depression happened, I guess.
また作戦なんだろ？落ち込んでるふりをして、後でバーッと驚かそうって作戦なんだろ？それが狙いなら、もう二度と同じ手には乗らねえから、いい加減にしろ。お前がそんなざまじゃ。こっちも調子が狂うんだよ。なあ、そろそろ引っかかったなバーカってバカ笑いしてくれよ。どんなネタもあまり引っ張りすぎると笑えなくなるぞ。二番煎じなら特にな。 笑ってくれ。あそこで夏日おばさんとお茶を飲みながらケラケラと笑ってるみたいに。
Well?
せめてにやっと笑うくらいはできねえのかよ。
Well, she's depressed and in pain.
二度とないわ。その子が笑うことはもう二度と。
Oh my god. Those sudden words were exceedingly cruel. Then Burn, really coming to crash the party.
ベアトの笑う権利を勝手に奪うな。
あら、赤で言った方がいい？
I shook my head furiously. Then, with an expression that didn't reveal her thoughts in the slightest, Birdman still spoke while looking at Beato's face. And the word she used was completely incomprehensible to me.
おめでと
う。何がだ？
What?
ベアトがそのざまなのは、あなたが勝ったからこその結果だからよ。
何を言ってやがる。
あなたはかつてのゲームで言ったわ。これは互いを苛む永遠の拷問だとね。そうよ。ベアトにとっても拷問だった。そしてその拷問ゲームに、だからベアトの魂は殺され、人形同然の屍になり果てた。
Oh no.
俺がベアトを殺したというのかよ。
勝敗はどちらか一方の勝とうとする意志がくじけた時に決まる。あなたとベアとの戦いという意味においては、すでに前回決着がついていたのよ。まあ、あなたにとっては預かり知れぬうちにだろうけれども。
なら、俺の勝利なのにどうしてゲームが終わらない？どうしてこのゲームがまだ続いている？
その子の足首についてる足かせ、ラムダが施したルールなのよ。
Even if Beatrice tries to yield or gets discouraged or gives up, she isn't capable of stepping down from the game. That's the rule. Or maybe it's a curse.
かつて私はあなたをサポートしたわ。あなたには知覚できないだろうけど、あなたにとって有利な展開とヒントが与えられるように、私はあなたに助力した。だから今、あなたはここにこうしていられるのよ。覚えてる？私に助けられたこと。
The game hasn't ended here? Oh no. Yep. We still have up to episode 8. Birkenstell stared at me. It's true I wasn't aware of it, but just maybe I was saved by her. Are you referring to Anje at the end of episode 3?
同じように、ラムダはベアトをサポートしてるわ。そして今度はベアトが屈しようとしている。だから今度はラムダが屈しないようにサポートしたわ。それが足かせ。投了を許さないことによってベアトをゲーム上救ったわ。
何をどう救ったってんだ。
本来ゲームは2つの終わり方があった。どちらかが負けを認めて投了するか、どちらかがチェックメイトでゲームに勝つか。ベアトはその前者に抵触しかけた。だからラムダはそれを潰し、敗北をギリギリのところで回避したの。ゲーム上は立派なサポートだわ。
So the only way this game can end now is if I win. At the very least, until I do win, the switch called Ramba Delta can probably try to buy time for Beato to make a comeback. But that'll just prolong Beato's suffering even more. Neither of us want that. Both Beato and I fought with all we had trying to win. The game repeated several times because we were both giving it everything we could muster. Then, that one time, we confronted each other head-on with all of our strength, and Beato acknowledged her loss. She said she wanted me to end this game and entrusted everything to me. So Birkenstell's words are the truth. She said it's my fault Beato's become a living corpse. That's true. But it's something both of us wanted.
俺たちの勝負はもう決着している。なのにゲームは終わらない。だからベアトは俺に託したんだ。早く勝ってこのゲームを終わらせろってな。
Now that the game's been resolved, letting it continue any further means endless torture for Beato. Nothing more than a nightmare. I've gotta give her a perfect checkmate and this game in the truest sense. And let her rest in peace. For that reason, I'll keep fighting. By continuing the game, Beato's eternal torture will continue. It felt as though I could only let her sleep peacefully by slowly strangling her to death.
もう俺には真実なんてどうでもいい気がしてきた。ベアとの気が済んだならもうゲームなんてどうでもいいだろう。ベアとは投了した。俺は魔女幻想の真実など捨ておいて家族と家に帰る。それでいいじゃねえか。
If only Lambda Delta hadn't placed the curse of that shackle on her, this battle would be over already. That's why I found it so that's why I found it detestable. This game, which I can finish without tormenting Beato more, is detestable.
何？真実に近づいたら、ベアトが苦しそうな表情を見せるようになったんで、急に手心を加えたくなったの？なら好きなだけ手加減するといい。あるいは、ベアトに勝ちを譲ればいい。そして、妹に孤独で悲惨な未来を無限に強い続ければいい。
そういうわけじゃねえ。
That's right. I have to return for Anja's sake as well. I know this isn't the time to start feeling compassion for Beato.
ならきっちり殺しなさい。その魔女を。
Oh boy, even though Beato was right there, Birkan still spoke without holding back. That's
あな
rough.
たの目的はこの女を殺すことよ。あなたは前回のゲームでベアトに壊れて口にしたわ。お前を殺すってね。
ああ、そうかもな。だがそれはお前にとやかく言われることじゃねえな。
知ってる？爪を剥ぐときはね、一気に剥いでくれた方がマシなのよ。あなたみたいにぐりぐりもたもたと剥がれる方がよっぽど痛い。あなたのしてることの方がよっぽど拷問だと思うけど。
Oh jeez, I have personal experience with nail ripping, so please no.
慈悲があるなら一気に殺しなさい。それが殺すということよ。
余計なお世話だ。俺がこいつにどう引導を渡すかは俺が。お前もあのラムダデルタという魔女も関係ない。俺が殺す。他の誰にもそれは許さない。
その意志に変わりがないならいいわ。私はあなたにかけてるのだから。決して忘れないことよ。このゲームに決着をつけない限り、あなたが解放されることは決してない。あなたにだってこのゲームを放棄することは許されないのだから。
わかってな。
ラムダの狙いは分かってる。ベアトと同じようにあなたにも繊維喪失させて、二人とも生き人形にしてこの世界を永遠に安定させることよ。そんなの嫌でしょ。私も困るわ。
お前の都合など知ったことか。だが俺はゲームを捨てない。ベアトとの戦いの責任を放棄しない。
目的が同じで嬉しいわ。そしてそれは躊躇なくその子を殺せるということよね。
そうだ。
I have no way of knowing whether those words eased her pain or hurt her, but I can tell by the dull tingling in my chest that I surely believe I've hurt her. I have no way of knowing what the silent Beato feels. I think I've hurt her. Does that mean she's actually been hurt? And if I didn't think I'd hurt her, would that mean no one's gotten hurt because of me?
で、あそこで夏日とお茶を飲んでるベアトだけ大丈夫よね。
ああ、大丈夫だ。
金蔵の時と同じよ。あれは魔女の力を借りて危機を乗り越える妙案を思いついたと信じる夏日が生み出した偽りの魔女幻想。二人が並んでお茶を飲んでるように見えるの。ゲームマスターであり物語の語り手であるラムダデルタがそう解釈しているからなだけよ。
Okay.
夏日に対し一片の愛も持たずに凝視できたならそんな幻想が見えたりはしない。だから私の目には 夏日が一人ぼっちで黙々と紅茶を飲んでるようにしか見えないわ。
Oh, so basically what you're telling me, without love it can't be seen, and Burn has absolutely no love. There it is. Without love it cannot be seen. Because love is lacking, it cannot be seen.
あれは夏日が見せている妄想。あそこにベアトリーチェなど存在しない。
Ouch. Beato mumbled softly. It was a small voice that made it sound like she was in pain. The thorn of Birkenstell's truth had stabbed into her chest. Oh no. I am gonna go to bed, have a fun stream. Thank you, Bartik. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to finish up reading the scene and then I think I'll stop for today.
お前の推理は正しいと思うぜ。だが、それをベアトの前で口にするな。
どこで口にしたって同じよ。ここはベアトの世界なんだから。
あと、こいつを擁護するわけじゃねえが、夏日おばさんが本当に未知の人物 X、ベアトリーチェと名乗る人物とこうしてお茶を飲んでる可能性だってあるんだぜ。
Well, but are we going to like be anti-mystery, or are you just going to actually wheel back to protecting Beato instead?
この光景は1年前のものだ。この日の島の人数が赤き真実で示されてるわけじゃない。
そうね。この日の六軒島の人数についてはラムダも赤では語ってないわ。
なら夏日おばさんが本当にベアトリーチェと名乗る女とお茶を飲んだと主張することもできるんだ。俺にお前の説を否定できないように、お前だって俺の説を否定できないんだ。だからそこにいるベアトが幻想だと断じることもできないぜ。
We're falling into pitfalls again.
ああ、猫箱理論。それベアトには通用したかもしれないけど、私には通じないわよ。
どうして？
だって夏日はそこで一人ぼっちで紅茶を飲んでるんだもの。
Well, there was a violent sound of glass breaking, and the Beato who laughed happily and cracked jokes about Natsuhi's newlywed years was erased. A lonely wind blew, and the one person who remained on the bench drinking tea with a tired expression was Natsuhi all by herself. Ouchies! Beato groaned. I could see clearly that she was in anguish. Another illusion of the witch had been smashed, drawing Beato towards her death. In short, this is what the battle to let Beato rest in peace is all about. A second ago, Birkenstell likened our fight to the torture of tearing fingernails out. If I have to tear them out anyway, then my last bit of compassion towards Beato shall be to minimize that pain. In other words, even if I want to minimize her pain, I still have to cause it. I have to accept that look of anguish on her face. And at the same time, I realize what a merciless thing the Red Truth was. Right now in this rose garden, there's no one except Natsuhi. In other words, there are no observers except for Natsuhi. So if that one observer were to say she had some tea with Beato, no one should be able to refute that. If there's something no one can deny, doesn't that mean it's the truth? Natsuhi is enjoying the roses and drinking tea together with Beato. How could anyone have the right to mercilessly trample that pleasant moment? Well, people who suck do that.
魔女と戦う上で時に推理を切られ、時に反撃の武器となる刃も
知ってるわよ。
みだりに使うな。刃物は使うべき時に使えば道具だが、悪意を持って使えば凶器でしかない。
True enough, Natsuhi wasn't really drinking tea with a witch. Now we're saying that with the Red Truth probably has nothing to do with our game. Our game is a tale of October 1986. The 2 days of the crime give us more than enough time to injure each other with our red and blue blades glistening.
これは魔女幻想じゃない。夏日おばさんのプライバシーだ。それを暴く権利なんて誰にもある。
この場に魔女が実在して夏日とお茶を飲んだと認めてほしいの。あなた魔女を否定するんじゃなかったの。
Yes, but there's nothing. It has nothing to do with 86.
1986年10月4日から5日の2日間のゲームについてはな。だが、そのゲーム版の外についてまで、俺は魔女の存在を問うつもりはねえぜ。そもそも、悪魔の証明により、魔女の否定は不可能だ。そして、このゲームのルールに従い、赤でそれを語るのも、ステイルメイトで禁じ手だ。赤き真実でさえ、魔女の存在を否定はできねえんだぜ。
確かに、まさかあなたに魔女の存在を語られるとはね。さすがラムダ、バトラーを人間犯人説と魔女がいてもいいという気持ちのうまいこと中間に引っ張り出してきたわ。人間の心を操るのに本当に長けている。私ももっとあなたを応援しないとまずいわね。
お前らなど知ったことじゃない。消えろ。これは俺とベアとのゲームだ。お前たちに私はしない。
嫌よ。
何？
だって私もこのゲーム楽しんでるんだもの。
Well, sucks. Burn has gone full butt mode. Burn can still disappear, leaving only that unpleasant laugh behind. After that, all that remained was Natsuhi sipping tea all alone. Beate, her hand still on the teacup as she stared blankly at the surface of the liquid. And me.
ベルンカステルにラムダデルタか。ワルギリアはお前の友人と言ってたが、お前友人は選ぶべきだったな。いや、むしろ性悪なお前にはお似合いなのか。
Beate didn't answer. Beate took Beate's hand, made her hold the cup again, and brought it to her lips. Beate made a quiet sound in her throat and drank another gulp. Man, that sucks. Then Natsuhi's lonely teen time ended. That truth which was Natsuhi's alone and observed by no one else had been defiled. In Natsuhi's world, surely, that tea party which had been peaceful despite her annoyance at Beate for making fun of her too much, came to an end and the two of them parted ways. However, Natsuhi's exposed truth, she was all alone. Natsuhi tottered away. On the bench, only a single person's cup remained. That's just depressing. Okay. Scene is over, I'm going to save here and then I'm going to end the stream for tonight. So, let's save up. And... ah! There. Okay. Let's see. Let me switch over to the main chat. So I'm going to finish the stream for tonight and I'm going to check if I can raid anybody right now. My channel. Is Eddie still streaming for tonight? Let me see. Hold on. Oh, there's a streaming going. Okay, I'm going to raid Eddie. He seems to be playing Binding of Isaac, and I'll be seeing you guys next Tuesday. I'm going to have to post a schedule again, but I'll probably be doing Umineko in like 2 weeks again or so. Or next week I'll probably be doing an open lobby on Thursday, art on Tuesday, and etc. Okay, thank you guys for coming, and I'll be seeing you next Tuesday. Bye bye!